They don't give a shit if a goat is up there.
Right.
Or more or less a man or a woman. They don't care. The question is, do you make me money?
Live from the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum Showcase in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Music is Funny. Musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy. With your hosts, Raylan Nelson and Jonathan Bright.
Smoking, I'm so high, I keep toking, I'm drunk, but I'm still drinking too.
I'm Raylan Nelson.
And I'm Jonathan Bright.
From the Raylan Nelson Band.
You're back with
Music is Funny. Hey, before we get started, I want to let you know that on April 20th, we're doing a 420 live stream show. So go to our website to get tickets.
we also play, I think, May 13th and 14th at Mad Life Stages in Georgia.
And May 28th at Growlers in Memphis. So come see us live.
Yes. Anyway, this week we got another fantastic episode.
Yeah, it's our first female comedian on the show.
Finally got a female, and we got a great one, too.
Yeah, she's a legend in the comedy world. She's been doing comedy for over 30 years.
Yes, hilarious. We've got into everything from marijuana, heroin, cigarettes,
Whiskey, beer, cocaine,
the Civil War,
the 70s.
boat docks and things. Anyway, and a great trip to the Papa Willie, another great trip to the Papa Willie fortune teller.
Yeah, stick around for that at the end.
So, yeah, let's just get to it.
Yeah, without further ado, a Kathleen Madigan.
Wow, this looks delicious.
Did you smoke a lot of weed?
I'm the worst. I've tried my whole life. I just fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm the lady you waste weed on.
Yeah.
And like people have tried. Ron White, like, and he would freely admit all this. I'm not speaking out of turn. Like, he loves pot.
Right?
And anytime I'm with him, I'm like, okay, I'll try. I don't know if it's like, to be stereotypical, my Asian friends just can't drink well.
Yeah.
They're terrible drinkers. They're the worst. Like, one beer and they're asleep. I'm like, fuck, you're no fun. You're no fun. Wake up. But pot, I feel like I never got to where everyone else is getting it. I don't know if it's like a chemical.
Maybe your body needs to sleep, though, because there is that whole thing about weed is that it gives you what you need. So maybe it's just giving you sleep, because sometimes it makes me sleep, too.
I had friends when I was in my 20s, though, that could drink a 12-pack, take a couple of, handful of pills, and go have dinner with their mom. But if they smoked a joint, out cold.
That's me.
So,
and that's why when people used to say, like, especially comics on the road, because I'm from Missouri, and they're like, you just grew up smoking that Missouri dirt weed. You need to try this good weed. I'm like, you're wasting your good whiskey on an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do well with well liquor. I'm not going to do better with call liquor. Like, this is a way. I'm trying to, but pot people are so friendly. It's so generous that they're always willing to give you.
Yeah.
a lot
They're
different
good
than
weed.
Coke people.
Yeah, right. Or heroin people. They're not giving up dead needle.
Yeah, it's funny.
No,
You never hear, every time anybody's ever offered me Coke, it's like, hey, man, you want a bump? And I'm like, nah, I don't really do it. And they're like, well, I don't do it either. I mean, I got a friend that gave it to me. I didn't pay for it or anything. And they
I just
go
have
into
it.
this.
I just happen to have an 8-ball
And if you ask
in my
somebody-
suitcase
Yeah.
Fucking
that I brought.
950 miles an hour.
I never liked, I did it and I didn't like, I only did it once, but I was like outside of myself, and I thought the last thing I need is to be more talkative and opinionated. I need to shut up. Like, I didn't even like who I was, and then I worked in a restaurant and bar forever, and all the people that got deep into Coke, they were normal, nice people to begin with, and then you just began to hate them.
Yeah.
Because everything turned around. They became like the devil.
Yeah, yeah.
Or plus,
like-
if you had to sit around and listen to them talk when you weren't on Coke and all the
That's what I
plans
mean,
they
just
had
at
for the
work.
next day.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
God.
Yeah.
I didn't get, like, I watched that Studio 54 thing. It was on HBO or something. And they all talked like Stevie Nicks and those guys that, yeah, there was like this decade where we were all on blow. And I'm like, well, maybe if everybody's on blow,
Right.
then I don't notice
Yeah, yeah.
that you're being a jackass.
thought
or-
everybody was an asshole.
Right. Look at this prick. Everybody's a prick, I guess. I don't know. That stuff always kind of scared me off. Like,
Yeah.
not pot, but pot. I
Well,
just
you don't
fall
hear a lot of
asleep.
stories of somebody going, well, my doctor does rails of blow every night, and he's still successful. There's a lot
Right.
of the weed guys,
Right.
he smoked pot forever, so.
And then even some of the drug people, like, watch this thing about Etta James. She did heroin until she was 73. I'm like,
Shit.
I didn't know you could do that.
That's when you should start, actually. If you made it to 73,
right now.
dive in.
Yeah.
You don't gotta
Tom
fe-
Petty, they said he was still doing it. At how old are those people? 69,
Sounds
70?
good. Yeah.
Like,
I'm terrible with age.
but my mom's a nurse. She goes, oh, you can do heroin every day. She goes, you just cannot get street bad heroin, and it needs to be in certain amounts.
I heard a podcast recently with a chemist talking about some scientist somewhere that takes low doses of pure heroin every single day.
Yeah, you can. Apparently, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, James made it. I'm not trying to advocate that. I'm not trying to set goals for people. I'm
to
just
sum
saying it
up,
was
do
shocking to
heroin,
me. I
okay.
thought you would do heroin, and then you're Janis Joplin, and you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, or
That's the story.
Mitch Hedberg, our comedian friend.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, you're gonna. That's why I used to do a joke about that. I'll stick with alcohol because you never hear anybody died of a bad beer. Like,
Right.
what happened? Fuck, I don't know. He got a Budweiser, fell off the boat, just he was dead. Like, it was just a bad batch from Anheuser-Busch. I like something that's commercially somehow monitored.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know? And but pot I wouldn't have cared because it's a plant. I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
it's like
So,
salad.
yeah. No, I wish I was a pothead. A lot less calories. I just try and
I love beer though. I'm a beer girl for sure.
I'm a beer and wine girl. Cheap. Whiskey, if I drink it, it's that.
Yeah.
But only if any white liquor, I'll end up in jail. I just get crazy.
I just end up shitting through a screen door if I drink any kind of white liquor.
And on the road, it's just so tempting to, especially because it's like free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so I've had friends of mine go, well, there's so many comedians that are alcoholics. I go, well, let me ask you this. Let's take a corporate environment, say McDonnell Douglas. They build airplanes. If every single worker, when they walked into work, somebody said, hey, you want a shot? And you could just start drinking at the beginning of your job. Yeah, there'd be a shitload more drunks because it's free and someone's offering it to you. If I walk into a venue, it's the first thing do you want anything? Anything I say, they'll do it.
Right.
Even in a shitty comedy club. If I say, can I get a shot and a beer? I don't have to pay for that.
So
And it's totally normal. Nobody looks at me weird.
Is it still like that though? Because I know when I was first coming up 20 years ago, there were a lot of us partying like crazy. Now, playing with her, I don't see a whole lot of people. Like the whole scene seems to change. I mean, there's still obviously bands going out there partying, but it doesn't seem like there's as many people doing it like we used to do it in the old days. Is it that way with comics?
I don't know. I feel like the comics you show up as who you are and you can just continue that.
Right.
Like I've always been the let's go out for the 4 beer and a shot lady. That's always been, but I'm not, I mean, occasionally I'll go crazier, but as a rule, that would be my thing. And then you take a Ron White and he wants tequila all night and pot. Nothing's really, we all showed up at 25 as who we are and we're all kind of the same, unless people just quit.
Some people had to.
Yeah, the quitter team. Yeah. You got kicked off. You were asked to leave the team. My mom's one of those people.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's been on the bench for 25 years. She goes, stay on that bench.
Well, you're from a
Yeah.
big family, right?
Yeah. So, all of crazy and that kind of stuff. Drinking and smoking and all that.
That probably helped when you were getting into the comedy scene, having come up.
It all felt very normal. Like there's 2 comedians. One is ex-Amish and one's a Mormon. And I feel like our world, like a bar to me, a comedy club is no different than my house.
Right.
Yeah.
Kinda. The same vibe. But to them, it would be like, I picture it like me going into the hood, into a crack house. Like it would just be like, what the fuck are you people doing? Like, wake up. It's 2 PM. Like,
Yeah.
I think those guys, when they didn't come from that kind of, but they're rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most everybody else, I think, led some kind of normal-ish, drinky, smoky parents, especially if you're my age or older. Everybody was smoking cigs. Everybody's drinking. Everybody, I mean, in hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
The picture of my mom with her last kid, my youngest brother, she's just smoking a cig. That's 1977.
Holy shit.
The baby she just was handed the baby, but she wanted a cig first.
Hey, I was in a hospital.
I wish
in-
we were still there. I wish
Yeah.
we were all still ignorant about it and still could do that.
I remember going to a comedy festival in Australia and you could smoke in the movie theater. And that hadn't happened here at that time. Like it had been canceled like 10 years ago. I'm like,
Right.
oh, you can just slide up a cig. This is great. I'm never leaving this country. That was my thought process.
But
at
to
the
your point,
time.
man,
And airplanes. Remember when
you
people
could
were
smoke.
smoking on
Oh, yeah, I
airplanes,
remember
little
smoking on
ashtrays?
planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the non-smoking section on the airplanes? The curtain.
There's an invisible shield.
Yes.
But I also say if secondhand cancer, like when they always go, people don't take I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Okay? So I'm saying this as a participant. My parents smoked, both of them. He smoked Kent, she smoked Cool in the station wagon, windows up because we're not letting the air conditioning out. Like in the way back,
Oh
it
my
literally was like Studio 54. I remember like drawing rings through their smoke and patterns. It was like, yeah, they had Linda Ronstadt on. I'm like, we're going to Florida, man.
Selling the vinyl patch kits
But
online
yeah,
for all the
but-
cigarette burns in the fake leather, you know?
If secondhand cancer is truly happening quickly, all of us
There'd be a
should have
generation
had
that
it
yeah,
by everyone in my family should have had it by 50.
it would have damn near wiped out an entire generation of kids.
Right. And I'm not saying it's good for you.
Right.
I'm not advocating that, but I think sometimes people are a little over the top about
Well, it's kind of like heroin, right? You can have a little bit of it
Just
every
a little
day.
taste. Just a little
yeah,
taste.
one cig. I
Yeah.
don't think that'll kill you. I always think of Maria Shriver's mom, who wasn't. Was that not Ethel Kennedy? It was one. I don't know. She lived to like 104, but she had a cigarette every day.
Yeah.
Well, I see. There you go.
It finally
One.
got
The
her.
problem is, if I have one, I want the whole pack, and maybe another pack.
Yeah.
And what else you got? It just keeps going with
Jennifer
the cigarette.
Aniston, I hear that she does one a day too. And we all want to be just like her, right?
Exactly.
So music. Did you?
Oh, yeah. What was the first music that you remember loving?
My parents were all over the map in a
You
great
said
way.
Linda Ronstadt. I want to write that down.
I love Linda Ronstadt. It's so sad she can't sing anymore. But she's also
150 years old, right?
yeah, she's old.
Yeah.
So well, it happens. But like they would go from country to disco, but this is the 70s, and everybody was doing that. It was weird, like Waylon Jennings, golden threads and golden needles, cannot, like all of that. But then it would be Donna Summer the whole week.
Yep.
Where I'd love to love you, baby. And I'm like, my parents are really fucking. And then it'd be John Denver. And it went the 70s. That I did like the 70s for that, though. All of that was popular at the exact same time.
It was.
Which was pretty cool. Even the singer-songwriter people, the Carly Simons and the James Taylors, like, then you throw that in the mix. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, the 90s to me, that whole grunge thingy just wasn't my thing. But I felt like that was the thing.
And they started segmenting more, like marketing-wise for music. You know,
Yeah.
FM radio sort of. You know, we play grunge, we play classic rock. In the
Well,
70s, you could hear a disco song.
And then Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, my parents played all of that from literally. That's why when people say, did you want to be a comedian? I'm like, I didn't even really think of that as a job. Music would have seemed like a job where
Yeah.
you could make money and you were popular. But, like, I would see people on The Tonight Show, I guess, like, going way, way back, like a Buddy Hackett.
Yep.
Okay, but I thought he was just a funny person that Johnny knew.
Yeah.
I didn't understand he left that show and then went to Las Vegas and had a show and made money. I don't know. In the Midwest, no one tells us anything. We're
Well, I
just
think
left to wonder. We just sit there and look at the magic box and I don't know what that
We were all
was.
the same way. I mean, it's not like there were huge comedians coming through town or anything like, you know, you get past Steve Martin or something. It wasn't, you know, he was probably the first rock star comedian that I ever, like, wow, this guy is,
Richard Pryor.
yes.
Yeah. But also stand-up wasn't really a thing from what I've learned anyway. I wasn't really paying attention. But, like, supper clubs, my parents will talk about the Playboy clubs. There was a comedian that would MC the night.
Warm up the band.
Yeah, but it was really about the music. We were just these carnival acts thrown in the middle. And then I don't think it was till like maybe the 70s in LA. I don't know. I was not old enough for all that. But like the Comedy Store opened and that's where Letterman and all Leno and all those guys that are now 75. And in New York, there was a club called Comic Strip. But that had music too. Pat Benatar
Yeah.
was there. I mean, it's crazy. Bette Midler was there, like in a comedy club. That's just, you wouldn't, somehow it just morphed into straight stand-up. And comedy clubs opened, which was probably the late 70s, early 80s. I don't know. I was still a kid, but that's whatever.
I always wondered when the hour was invented, you know, for comedians.
To have an hour special.
That's the thing. We do an hour. You know, that's your
I think it was
record,
like
so to
the
say.
Richard Pryor people because an album was an hour. So when you went and performed, they expected an hour.
That makes sense. Because I know there were
seemed
records before that, like Red Fox and all that, going way back.
Yeah.
But
He's from St. Louis. We're always
I
we're
didn't
very
know that.
proud of him. Yeah.
I just heard Eddie Murphy say he was one of the funniest guys just sitting around.
I would think
funniest guys
so.
ever.
And there's a black female stand-up that white people don't know, black people know, Mom's Mabley, and she sold more albums than any man or woman comedy albums at the time than anybody. But she was underground, and they still had the Chitlin circuit back then.
Yeah, well, my dad used to talk about getting together with friends living in the country, but they would have to hide the Red Fox record that one of them had and sneak down in the basement to listen to him.
It. Yeah,
it's like
my
forbidden
brother's
fruit.
sneak and run DMC. He's 10 years younger than me. He'd sneak. I'm like, what's in your backpack, Pat? And he wouldn't tell me. I go, let me see your cassette. What's up? Don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. He was like in third grade or some shit.
That's great.
But yeah, I think the black comics were ignored. Like they would never have put Mom's Mabley on the Tonight Show. Maybe Bill Cosby because he was more what the white world wanted him to be.
At the time, yeah.
But Mom's Mabley was dirty and raw. It's very funny if you can find it somewhere.
That's
give
what's
it a
cool
listen.
about Sanford and Son. He was taking all his buddies, comedians, and you can see all those guys on the. I didn't find out 2 years later, but they all worked the same circuit,
Yeah.
And he got his
But I
foot in. He's
still
like, "Come on, boys."
I feel like we've kind of gone back to that, which I think is shitty. Like, especially in, I don't know, I feel like, well, they'll go, that's the black club. And I'm like, really? We're going to go back to that, guys? We're going to do, so in Atlanta, here's they'll say it's the urban club, but come on. You're saying this is the black club, this is the white club, and then there even is the weirdo club for the alternative, quote, comics, or whatever you want to call them. Like in Atlanta, they have a room for that. And I'm like, I don't really think we need to divide it like this. Like, why can't, like Cedric the Entertainer's from St. Louis, and he's around my age, and they call it crossing over, to be a crossover act where you're popular with the black audiences, but then how are you going to cross over and not be a sellout? They're always
Bernie
very
Mac
worried
and
about that.
thing,
Right. But Cedric was like, I remember on the first open mic ever, he's like, I'm going black for a while. I'll be back. And then like he goes and does all the black clubs that I don't even know where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not really something I thought about.
Would you be welcome to go there and perform, you think?
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to say no.
Right.
But I also feel like if they're creating this thing kind of for us, by us, I have an opportunity over here. So am I just being greedy?
Taking somebody else's shot over there.
Yeah.
Kind of. But for fun, I wouldn't want to get paid for like a week doing it, like back in the day when you do a whole week in a town. I would feel like out of place. Not by them, by me going, what am I doing? I know I can go, versus they may not be able to go over there. Not because anybody say no, it's just they're not going to get paid what they might over there.
Right.
It's just weird that we've gone backwards.
Yeah.
To me, which is what I think happened like with stand-up on TV, like BET, that channel, they've got all the stand-up shows, so all the black comics, like Cat Williams, most white people don't know who he is. He's great.
He's hilarious.
But like he's a BET guy. Like if you're not gonna go do Letterman, and it's all divided now, even CMT. So if you want to be a country blue collar comic, which like Ron White he was on the blue collar tour, but I don't really think his comedy is necessarily blue collar.
No, he's just got a drawl.
He's just from Texas. Like I'm like, I don't know,
Southern
dude, you're just from Fritch, Texas, so you get automatically thrown in that bucket because they're like, well, we take you too. I go, because I'm from the Midwest. Like, I'd be fine on the blue collar thing. I think my act would work, but I don't really see myself that way. Not that I don't even want to. It's fine, but I don't.
It's the way marketing changes over the years.
It's the way they packaged it. Then the one guy was kind of genius. I'll take Foxworthy, Bill Engvall. I'll package this thing as a kind of a Southern blue collar-y, but they were popular everywhere. The state of Washington, I'd be like, really? Like the Seattle people came running out to the blue collar thing, and
well, that's what's weird about you talking about separating everything. Because I remember when the Def Comedy Jam was on. I can't speak for all Caucasians, but we were all watching that shit. Even if we didn't get some of the jokes, we knew it was funny, And you almost leave out a whole half of, as a comedian, You leave out half of potential audience, and you probably stay sharper if you're working both rooms. You know what I mean? If you
I
step
think
into a black room,
absolutely.
your senses are probably more heightened. Just like I've got to figure out my way around here, as opposed to being comfortable doing the rooms.
There's
you
a stereotype too that I mean every comic would agree with it. I think so. I don't know if it's a stereotype, but with a predominantly black audience, if they love you, they love you. If they don't, they really, really don't.
Right.
White people are a little more boring and will just sit there.
Right.
And then Canada is the next level of polite. They'll sit through anything. And they just won't. But sometimes it's hard to get them really to come out of their shell too.
Wait, they
so
just sit there?
Yeah,
I've
well,
never
I
been to
mean,
Canada.
like if you're eating it, they're still polite about it.
Yeah.
Like they're still, look, you know, if you can see them, I never want to see, I turn the lights out.
But it's the
if you-
trade-off that
Yeah.
if they don't get mad at you like they do.
They also
when-
don't good as a black crowd.
Right,
They're
when
never
you
going to get to
kill-
that point where the black crowd loves you. The Canadians are always like, yeah, that was pretty fine.
Right.
It was just sort of a even keeled response.
Risk reward kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
guess I did fine. You know, you just walk off going, I don't know, I'm in a different country. I can't. Like this ain't on me. That's on you. I think
audience
I'm
sucks.
pretty sure I'm funny. That's on you. Like you never want to say, oh, the crowd sucked. That's not fair. But sometimes they do.
Sometimes they
if
do.
you've done it long enough, you have a better gauge than they do. I know if you're dumb.
Can you feel it when you walk out there sometimes? Just after joke number one, go, this is going to be one of
Well,
those
I don't
nights.
know that it's going to eat it, but I know you can tell by a vibe, especially like, I don't know if you guys have ever done casino gigs. Like
We've done one.
You can kind of feel the energy just out there. Like if Joe will go and she'll be like, they are wound the fuck up. And I'm like, great. But there's usually more drinking going on there and they're just more in party mode anyway. Or, you know, fast forward to the worst, a corporate gig where you just want to blow your own. I just want to be rich enough to never have to do one again, to never be tempted by the money.
They pay so well, too.
Well, Leno's still doing them, but he's a money guy.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't spent any of my Tonight Show money. I'm like, why? You don't have any kids. What does it matter with you? You can't take it with you. Seriously, I know it's
Needs
cliche, but
one more car.
yeah. I'm like, you have all the cars. There's no more cars to buy, Jay. If anything, you'll just trade one because there's no new old cars. You have all the new old cars.
Clearly, he likes to work.
He likes the check. He likes, and there's nothing wrong. It's just not me.
Right.
Like if I have enough money to retire, but it's not a lot, that will be fine. Enough is fine. I don't need, because there's not stuff like I don't know. I think it's how you're raised too, and maybe he just has a very strange, in my opinion, but I say it to his face, relationship with money. Yeah. I don't get when you have enough. But this is the Irish talking in me, too.
Right.
Once I have enough, see ya.
Let's
You won't
celebrate.
ever see me again. I'm Johnny Carson. I'm done and out.
And I'm out.
I'm out. I don't need this. I liked it. I had a good 30 years. This whole COVID thing, I'm like, I don't want to say it because people are sick and people have died, but for my real life, not being on the road, I've had a blast. But I feel bad saying
It's funny
that.
because all of the lifers that we talk to have been doing it for 30 years. Like, honestly, it's probably been about the best. You know, I'm ready to get back to it. But
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back.
Right.
Because I don't have Seinfeld's money.
Well, there you go.
But he's another one that does corporate gigs. Why would you put yourself in the worst situation possible? There's a relationship and a joy of money that they have that I do not.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, and then also you're just like, I just want to do what I want to do, right? Like, I'm.
Yeah.
Well,
At this
clearly
point,
that's
you
what they
can.
want to do because
Well,
they
that's true.
can.
It's
You're right.
The
You're right.
check, though. It's not about, like with Jay, I mean, I think he wants the show to be good.
Right.
But it's more about, because I'm like, why would you do these horrible, it's a check, how do you say no? I go, I'll say it for you. I can tell you how you
Send
say
my
no.
number.
I mean, if the money, I don't know, the money stacks up, what are you going to do with it? Or at least I understand maybe wanting to do a real show,
Yeah.
but like
yeah.
a corporate gig, it's just the worst possible situation.
Nobody does those for the joy of the gig.
No, I've
Music
even
or
talked to
comedy.
musicians.
Yeah.
Like here in Nashville, I met through somebody else, John Oates, and he's like, yeah, we still do them, but you know. And I'm like, that would suck. Like you're up there doing Rich Girl, which is a great song. And you know, there's these 40-year-old douchebags from some fancy company, and they don't. appreciate it. They don't. But the check clears.
There's huge checks too.
Occasionally they're fun. Occasionally, but I'd say
We're still looking for that one.
5 out of 10.
When you do corporate gigs, do they expect you to hang out after your? Yeah.
Well, this is a newer thing, I feel like. I feel like in the last 5 years, I feel like somebody told somebody, and then like a game of telephone, it just got, that they all now want the meet and greet with the 50 people and the picture with everybody, which, whatever, fine enough.
That's probably
But that's
musicians'
another
fault,
2
actually.
hours
Yeah.
tacked on. So you used to just be buying the show, which was an hour. And now we're buying 3 hours, but we're not paying for those other 2. And I'm not going to be an asshole. If people are nice and they come up and want to tell me a story, I'm going to listen. I'm not walking out. I'm not going to. The casinos do it where they just put you in front of like a flag of their casino or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called. And they just run people through. But I'm not in charge of that. So I'm like, I feel like that's too rushed in a way. Like it's a very, very factory-like, to the point where you're like, you don't even get to say
Not a lot of
hi.
meeting and greeting going on there.
No, it's all. And one of them, I was staying somewhere in Palm Springs. This woman came towards me for a picture, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the fucking Bionic Woman. It's Lindsay Wagner.
No way.
I could have sworn. And I was like, are you the Bionic? Are you the Bionic? Sorry to be a hack. I'm not sure you've done other things. But like, you feel like, now I'm just a
so
hack.
much, right?
Right. Boop, 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 boop. Does this mean anything? Boop, 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 boop. And she goes, I am. I go, oh my God. I go, I'm so excited you came to the show, blah, blah, blah. But then they're like shuffling her out.
Becky's behind. Come on, let's go.
And I
We
go,
got
just
another
hang out. This will be done in 10 minutes. But the corporate ones, it's a free-for-all. Like you go in a ballroom, and I'm standing at a table with one of the cocktail tables, and then it's just a free-for-all, which I feel bad leaving. Because there's still 10 people that go, I want to tell you about when I saw you. And blah.
That's probably our industry's fault, because trying to make money playing music anymore, a lot of the big bands have started selling ridiculous packages of meet and greets before the show, and they make a lot of money doing that.
It's so...
So I apologize.
Like, I
On behalf
wouldn't-
of the
but
whole
I-
industry, I apologize.
But I wouldn't even want to meet... Like, let's say I love Stevie Nicks. And I'm for better or worse, I did because of Jay Leno. I don't want to meet my idols,
Right.
for the most part.
I'm with you. Yeah, I get that.
I don't... What if they... Like, there's part of me that
They're not
thinks-
going to. They're not going to hold up to your expectation. They just can't.
No,
It's
unless
not
it's an
humanly possible.
accident. Like, not a... One time I sat next to a plane for 5 hours and drank vodka and ate Fritos with Anita Baker.
well, there you
And,
go.
but that was an accident.
Right.
Like,
That's a
I
story
would
in
have
the
been freaked out.
situation.
I didn't know it was Anita Baker.
Yeah,
I just thought it was some lady who liked Fritos. And we were just talking about the road. She was talking about music and all, but she knew comedy, and it just turned out to be great. But that was random, One time in LA, I'd really hate LA, but there's one bar I like called Barney's Beanery.
Yep.
And it's just I call it quicksand because once I go in, I just don't come out. I have so much fun in there. There's sports on everywhere and music, and it's just a dive, and
We were there last time we were there.
I love it. The one in West Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was sitting next to this guy, and the hockey was on. He's a Blackhawks fan. I was like, boo, because I'm a Blues fan. Blah, blah. We're talking, and he's like, how do you guys know so much about the road? I'm like, you first. How do you know? Because he was talking about cities and stuff. He's like, well, don't judge me because I have my own band too, but I'm the drummer for Cheap Trick. And so it's Dax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He lives
him.
here.
Yeah. Well, and in Illinois too.
They all live around.
Yeah. They're around all the time.
Yeah.
And we just became friends like that. Like, naturally, just accidentally. Like, we had talked for hours and drank pitchers of beer before I had any idea.
Well, I think at that point you're both
He was just a
comfortable-
nice
yeah.
Midwest guy that it was fun to talk to, not some LA douchebag. He was normal.
Two people
Well,
that
my
realize nobody's trying to
yeah,
germ them at
who
all.
cares? Yeah. But to meet your idols at these meet and greets, like when these maybe kids, like the little girls that want to meet Taylor Swift, it
makes
probably is everything they thought it would be, and then some.
You're right. You're right.
But as an adult, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't need to. One time I did Stevie Nicks was on the Tonight Show, and my friend Bob was the guy who booked it all. He goes, "You should come up here and see Stevie. She's doing 2 songs." I go, "Well," I said, all right, but I don't want to sit in there. He goes, no, stand side stage with me. So, but then Jay saw me. He's like, hey, Dollface, what are you doing here? And I lied. I go, nothing, just getting some stuff from Bob. And Bob goes, no, she loves Stevie Nicks. And he's like, well, you should meet her. Come here. And he called her back. I'm like, no. I don't want any of this to happen. I don't want, either get a picture. There's always that photographer of the shows. The picture, I seriously look like I'm about 15 chromosomes away from being a normal human, and she looks perfect. No one has ever seen that photo except Bob. No one will ever see that photo. Like, she knows how to instantly pose. Like, I don't want that picture. I don't want her to talk. You're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
Odds are.
They can't. It's not humanly possible.
No, I don't know
Meet
what.
the expectation.
Or maybe people just want to, like when Chief Trick was here last time, we went back to the bus to say hi to Dax and stuff, and Hart was also, it was Hart, Chief Trick, and who else? Oh, Joan Jett.
Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Hart meet and greet was like 1 billion people long, and it's all 50-something. It's everybody my age going, I could fucking meet Nancy Ann Wilson. But I'm like, these poor women, I mean, I know they're making money. They're not poor. I don't mean like that. But I mean, what are they going to say? What are you going to say? What am I going to say to Stevie Nicks that's not been said?
Right.
Or to your grandpa? I really like On the Road Again.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. Like, you just sound stupid. And I know I'd be that lady. Like, I wouldn't. My mom, like, her biggest thing was Seinfeld. She loves Seinfeld, right?
Right.
So I was doing this thing in St. Louis with him, a big benefit deal at the Fox Theater, which is old, great, like 5,000-seater ornate deal. My mom had 6 months to think of what she would say to Jerry. 6 months.
This is going to be good.
All because she's very socially bad. My dad would be like, I got a lot of things to tell him, Steinfeld. I'm like, well, you're not going to get to meet Steinfeld because you keep calling him by the wrong name. You, Jack, are going to be hidden in the back and you're going to miss it. But all she could say is, you're so tall.
Well, that's probably something he doesn't hear a lot, at least.
He does.
Oh.
Because I think people think he looks shorter on TV.
Oh.
And then when
Interesting. It's always the opposite.
it's the opposite.
Right?
I know, but I guess Kramer was so tall.
You're right.
He looked super short, and he's not. He's like 6 foot, and we're all 5 foot. So
Right.
my mom's just like, you're a giant. And I'm like, 6 months, Mom.
Sorry, Jer.
I just got frozen. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God. Meanwhile, my dad had Ozzie Smith cornered, the baseball player, telling him how he thought the ball was juiced. I'm like, oh no. I go, Patrick, go burn him with a cigarette. He can't keep talking to Ozzy.
That's
It's
hysterical.
going to ruin my relationship with any St. Louis
being from
Cardinal.
St. Louis, I was about to say
the
you must have-
Cardinals are like, oh, they're like gods. I'm like, don't let him screw with my God. Get over there. Stop it.
Well, speaking of TV, and I always like asking you guys this, Last Comic Standing, because it was kind of like, exactly, it's kind of like for us, you know, the singing
Idol.
competition shows and things like that. But for me, it seemed a little bit different, especially the season you were on, the first couple, whereas with American Idol, it's a bunch of people that have not done anything yet. I mean, other than maybe playing small clubs and whatever.
Is
You get
that
on-
true, though? I don't know. With American Idol. What about America's Got Talent? Like, has
haven't-
anybody ever approached you guys?
No, I think it's. Well, I can't speak for the new ones. After American Idol, I kind of jumped ship, but it's basically trying to find unknowns because they want to sign you and make you big and take all
your stuff.
Yeah, take all your shit. So they don't want
Forever.
anybody
Right.
that's actually got anything. But it seemed a little bit different, and I'm sure comics shit on that show all the time. But it did seem, at least with your season, that you know you had Todd Glass and Gary Goldman on that season. There were Heffron.
Yeah, Heffron's great.
A lot of people that had been working. You know, it wasn't
10
just
years. We'd all been doing it at least. Alonzo, Bowden.
Alonzo.
I compared it more to if you ever watched Top Chef
Oh, that makes sense.
or the design. What's the one where they did clothes with Tim Gunn? Project Runway.
Yep.
Where these people, you know, they're in their 30s, 40s, and they've been doing this for a job for 10 years, but they've just never, like when I was on Last Comic, I'm like, I've been on like the Tonight Show and Letterman and Comedy Central. I had a half hour on Comedy Central, a half hour on HBO. I go, I got really kind of nervous before I taped all those, and apparently no one saw them. like it didn't matter. And I think, well, I'm never going to get nervous about anything again. Nothing matters. This is ridiculous. Like nobody's focused. Nobody's Todd. I know for had been on the Tonight Show a ton of times. Heffron had a half hour. So, but the problem with comedy, or the good thing about it, they can't make a show with open micers.
Right.
Because those people only have 5 or 10 minutes of material. You're going to have to go find people that have a solid 30 minutes because we're going to draw this out through all these episodes.
Well,
so
yeah,
by
in
episode 4, if John Heffron's out of jokes, we have a shitty show.
And American Idol, they're not singing any of their own songs. You're
Right,
you're looking
right,
for voices. You
right.
don't have to have the whole package yet. They'll provide the rest of the package once
Yeah,
we get
they'll
that voice.
provide all kinds of evil
But
things.
I never really thought about that. You had to get some people that were at least semi-legit, or the show is going to seem terrible.
Awful. And you have to have people that have been on a lot of TV so they're not freaked out.
So
and they're
when-
not nervous.
When you guys were on it, were you kind of looking around going, this is kind of jive, or like, we're just, it's going to be good exposure, but
That's exactly what it was. We hated it. I'm not kidding. America's Got Talent, I think, is the one. Literally did email my agent last week, and it's some dude, a talent scout, and he said he saw something. I know what he's talking about, a video online, and he wanted to know if I wanted to audition. I'm like, dude, I'm like doing the Chicago theater. I'm not bragging. Midwest would never do that, but that would be cheating a little bit. Like you can't go, oh, this lady's at the Ryman, and then to go, I go,
Undiscovered.
I go, clear. This is flattering that the man asked, but clearly I would feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
Going, well, I don't have enough. Go to my website and get some tickets to the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee. They don't even. That'll show you though how much they're not researching anything.
Yeah.
Like he went online and saw a video and then did no more research. He didn't go to my website to go, I wonder.
Let's read the bio and see
Yeah,
what
I've
she's
been
all
to
about.
your website. Like,
Yeah,
I
right,
was
yeah.
like, oh,
That's
okay,
what you
let's see what
do
these guys
first.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see it. Like, he didn't even, I don't know, stand up. Like, last comic, I even wrote back, I already spent my time in a game show in this lifetime. I'm out. No, thank you, but no, thank you. But what they should do is that man should have gone and looked at my stuff and then said, do you have any acts you could recommend?
Yeah.
Because all the people I hire to open for me in these big venues and stuff are great, but America doesn't know them. But if you threw, there's a guy, well, there's 2 guys from here. Dusty Slay is one, and Aaron Weber. They're awesome, but they're not like known to America.
Right.
But if they got on America's Got Talent, Dusty would destroy.
Yeah,
Aaron
I've seen
would,
his stuff.
He'd do
Yeah,
great.
we saw him a couple weeks ago, last
He's
week
great.
at Zany's. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
supposed
And that
to
would
come and talk
work
to us.
on a TV show big time. His act especially.
Aaron's a little more like my act. Every middle America, like just sort of we blend in. We're just like the normal people. But Dusty's got such a defined, strange character, which is really him. It's not made up.
Right.
That, yeah, he would with the hat. I mean, come on, like his package is natural, and it's just sitting there waiting. But that idiot man just saw and sent an email to a big agency. It's not like some Joe Schmo. Like, you made yourself look dumb by sending that email instead of, I would have helped you. I'll book your show for you if you want. Stand-up wise, I can find 20 young comics that should be on there.
Yeah. Are there young female comics that you like?
There's a lot of them. Yeah. The problem sometimes the women don't want to do the road as hard. So they stay in LA or New York. And then I feel like by doing that, you're not getting the whole vibe of the rest of the country. And then your act becomes sort of provincial, yet in a big city.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to go sell that in Omaha when you're just doing LA-centric jokes, or California or New York City, or there's just not a lot of women that sign up for the road. And it's like, you can't blame the club people. I don't find it to be sexist. I never have, because I would imagine like music people, whoever is booking whatever venue just wants to make money. They don't give a shit if a goat is up there.
Right.
Or more or less a man or a woman. They don't care. The question is, do you make me money? Period.
Yep.
I feel like there's like the sexist stuff happens in TV things. Like, look at all the late night hosts. It's all white guys. If you put them in a lineup and said who mugged you, I don't know.
Number 3?
They look a lot alike. That's where you're going to run into knocking down doors that aren't knocked down. But club stuff, I would think it's like music. I mean, if there's 4 women in a band, but they're selling tickets, is the booker going to say no because they're women?
Then
In music?
Let's get into that some because you've been on the road for a long time. I mean, that's kind of what you've done
Forever. That's why I've liked this year. I'm like, wow, I almost got a dog.
But
I didn't do it, but I almost did.
but
Maybe
when
a cat.
When you started, we've talked about it before. As a band, you get to kind of tour around with your gang. There's people there. It's kind of us against the world kind of thing. With you guys, it's a little more solitary, I would imagine. And number 2, being a woman, having to roll around with a bunch of filthy guys. Now she knows what that's like actually in a van.
They don't notice things.
But you
guys,
guys.
this towel is done. This is over. This towel is fucking over. No, a towel is $5.
Yeah, and
We're gonna spend it.
You guys
We're getting
have
a new
those comedy
fucking towel.
condos.
Yeah, the comedy
that
condos.
we don't have, we hotel rooms. So you're actually spending the time, like it would be as if we were touring with an opening band, had a different opening band every few shows, and we just bunked up.
And they
with the new
Airbnb'd
stranger.
you in a house.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
new stranger in town, and you're like, hey. And for you, were you traveling alone at that time?
Oh, you always, yeah. But literally, I left St. Louis in my Mercury Tracer. That was a car back then. They don't make it anymore. And I drove to Philly to do a club, and they put me in a condo with Bill Engvall and this other guy, Jimmy Higgins from Chicago. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is what I'm going to do every week. It's just 2 random dudes, usually dudes, very rarely a woman, maybe Brett Butler. That was about it. But on the good side, it's where I made lifelong friends. I kind of feel sorry for the younger comics because comedy condos aren't really a thing anymore. And you are spending literally Tuesday through Monday morning with those 2 people. So you will learn really quickly if you like them or you do not like them.
Right.
And then I don't even know how we stayed friends because we didn't have cell phones, but like Ron White
those
and
days.
all those guys, they're all 10 years ahead of me. They were the headliner. And I'd walk into the condo and immediately go, this is going to be the funnest week ever. Or like, ugh, this guy's kind of a jackass. But I never hated it. I liked it. But I also didn't know anything. And I also have 4 brothers.
I was just about to say, your upbringing, being surrounded by brothers.
Chaos was
I'm
the
sure
norm.
There was ball
Yeah.
busting going on.
Older brothers? Younger?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of all
But
of it.
around the family, was it a humorous family, people busting balls?
Yeah, oh yeah, very sarcastic, like competitive, like nobody ever, everything's accusatory. Like, I don't know, let's say you go home and your eye looks weird. What the fuck did you do to your eye? You should stop smoking. What's that got to do with my eye? Oh, you just know, you did something. It's always very, but fun. Like, I always feel sorry for the comics who don't have any siblings. I'm like, oh, really? Like, that doesn't seem very much fun, but
it seems like the new generation, like, I'm sure girls coming up now, women going out, and it's probably hard to even consider. I'm just going to go roll in to a comedy condo or whatever with 2, or, I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems a little crazy to young people to even think in those terms.
why? And the fact that my parents were never even mildly alarmed.
I think that's probably, yeah.
How old were you at that time?
23.
That's really fucking young.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm walking into condos with 2 strange men. One time we found out a dude that I met on the couch. He was on the couch. And then I met the headliner. I was the middle act. And then I met the opener. And I'm like, well, who was the dude I met on the couch? And he had already left. They're like, we don't know. I go, so it's just some fucking guy. He's a waitress's boyfriend who knew the comedy condo was empty on Sunday and Mondays and was living there. But let's say he was a rapist, okay? I wouldn't have thought it. He seemed nice enough on the couch, but he
like a
could have
comedian.
been. And I walk in to some strange man.
Yeah.
I had a whole conversation with him. Hey, man.
And to be honest, how
It was
many,
in Atlanta.
how many
Yeah.
comedians look like rapists anyway? I mean,
Right,
it's they kind of meld in together. So
One of the Capitol rioter people that the FBI keeps
Yeah.
putting this picture on Twitter. I said to Jody, I go, oh, he looks like every alcoholic feature act I've ever seen. I go, I bet he's working at a Funny Bone or something. I'm going to Google his face and see if I can find him somewhere featuring somewhere. He just looks like a really hard 45.
So how'd you get in from clubs doing that? I guess putting in the road, but how did you transition and start getting to night shows and all that kind of,
It's all so slow. And I don't know how it happens in music, but that's why comedy unless you got a sitcom like Roseanne, then you became an overnight.
Did you ever consider that as a goal?
No.
Like, so you were straight stand-up from jump.
I don't even want to be in a movie unless it's a friend ask me. I don't have the patience for it. I find it so fucking boring. You are standing around for hours doing nothing. And then all I want to do is drink and smoke because I'm fucking bored. And I'm like, this ain't healthy. It's like 11 a.m. Is there any beer in here? Because I'm bored. I'm bored. I don't have the patience for the whole process. And the sitcom shit, it's a live play. Yeah. And I'm not an actor.
Learning lines and all that.
And you're
Just sounds
relying,
like a drag.
it takes us out of the element. Now I'm relying on all these people. And I have to have practice. This is the reason I don't do improv, more or less anything else. There's too many other people involved.
Or you have to be funny with somebody else's words.
Yeah, and that would annoy the shit out of me. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Or they're going to argue. Like, that's why everybody said Roseanne was a bitch. Roseanne would go, I know what's funny. And she was right. She, I guarantee you, knows what's more funny than anybody in that writer's room. But occasionally, Roseanne, you've made a deal with the devil. Now you have to do what the devil says, or the devil's going to hurt you. Yeah. And she just, to the very end, just kept at that. And I get it.
Admirable. I
get it.
Anyway,
yeah.
I love a good contrarian. So whether I agree with them or not, anybody
and
that's
she was
bucking
making
the
them
system,
so much money
that
what are you going to say? You're going to let her keep going until there's a tipping point.
When the tipping point came and they bounced her, though, the show went shoo. Done. Basically.
It just all with comedy. It happens so slowly. Like you don't think of it as a big deal. Like first there was Evening at the Improv that was on A&E, and so we all auditioned for that. So you get that, and then you're like, oh, I'm on cable television. You had your stupid little episode or whatever, and then you graduate from that to there was a Comedy on the Road was a show. There's all these cable shows for a while or even if you wanted to audition for Def Jam, you could as a white person, or the black people, all the black comics were doing that. And then it's like, oh, I'll audition for Comedy Central. So it's all this slow, it never seems like a big deal. Nothing seems like a big deal because it happens so slowly, unless you're one of those sitcom people where it was overnight.
Yeah.
Or back in the day when Johnny Carson, this goes for music too. So if you got on Johnny Carson back in the 70s, a third of the country was watching.
So you had three choices.
Yeah. That's as many as watch the Super Bowl now.
Wow.
So in one night, you would have had, at the time, say 100 million people watch you. I mean, there's no way you can... Last Comic Standing was 13 million people an episode, and that was a lot for a summer reality show. But the Tonight Shows now are 5.6, 6.8. I mean, they'd be ecstatic if they got a 10. He had 100 million people. So if you were a musician or a stand-up and you got on there, your world did change overnight. By the time I got on Tonight Show, there's 150 channels.
Yeah.
And at 10:30, people are going to be watching a lot of different things. It's not like the focus wasn't there. And I don't see it anywhere anymore. Except the Super Bowl. I'm like, when are they going to let a stand-up do it?
Oh,
That's a good point.
All right? Never. They're too scared of what
It'd be great, though. It'd be great.
Oh, can you imagine them trying to get past the censors any kind of joke you would want to make?
Right. It would have to be
it would be Take My Wife, Please, and that would be it.
Right. It would have to be...
Like Ellen.
Yeah, and Ellen...
And she's a little controversial nowadays. I don't know if she could squeeze it.
Canceled again.
If John Panette was still alive, he could have. He was across the board.
Maybe Jim Gaffigan could get out there.
Gaffigan could do it. Yeah. I could formulate a set.
Yeah,
I could pick and cherry pick enough that would be up their alley. That's funny enough, but I just still don't think they would ever do it. But I mean, that kind of focus, it doesn't exist outside of that. So how are you going to make it? I don't even know how music people.
We still haven't made it. We don't know.
What's the path?
It's the same way with the arts now, I think, because once people got in the habit of not having to pay to listen to music, like on apps and stuff, they're never going back to paying to listen to music. Like we make hard copy CDs to sell at shows, and people get them autographed, and they never listen to them. They'll take them home and put them up as like
a souvenir,
right?
Something to have in
hand. Once that cat was out of the bag, nobody's going to pony up more than $10 a month do you listen to have a library of music, So you have to figure out, you sell T-shirts,
Well, what if your guys' stuff is on streaming on Spotify and
All the
Pandora, but that's like
you make
doesn't add up.
nothing on them.
No, it's like 0.00007.
I feel like Sirius.
They are different. Sirius pays you.
Yeah, they pay.
Yes.
We get paid from them when
We
they
make
play
money
our
on Sirius, which is fantastic. God bless
Yeah.
any radio stations that still have to pay, but they don't. That's a completely different model. I don't know how the record industry allowed it to happen, but it's like Sirius has an infrastructure of DJs and stuff playing things. These guys have an app that they don't have to pay anybody. And all right, screw it. They don't have to pay the royalty that the radio station has to pay. It's insane. But you look at it and you can bitch about it all you want, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have to figure out
You
how to
gotta
make it
figure out how
work
to
if you
sell
want to keep
T-shirts.
doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, that became a thing too, where people were selling stuff after the shows. I never did it just because I don't have the heart for it. I'm like the worst salesperson ever.
And then
I just
like, here, just take
I
it.
don't. Yeah, I don't. Oh, you don't have any change? It's fine. Like,
I'm always curious, did you guys CDs? Did you ever make any real money as a comic on
Oh,
CDs?
fuck yeah. And like now the whoever's my future act will always say, do you care if I sell stuff? Well, some of the big theaters, like they're going to take 30%.
Yeah.
And then you think, is it worth dragging this shit around the country for 30? But like the opener, if I go have a little talk with the people and go, look, he doesn't make money and can you just let that one slide? I mean, I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but some of them do.
Right.
I go, look, he needs gas money. But I mean, like, even at a club selling, if you have a funny T-shirt or whatever, I mean, I've seen them feature acts make $800, and that's more than they were making telling jokes.
Yeah.
So
What
to
about,
them,
What about back in the day outside of, when you would put out DVDs and CDs?
oh yeah, people bought all that shit. Bill Engvall
would
sold
we-
a sign that said, "Here's my sign.
Would
Here's
people-
your sign. Here's your sign." It was $1, but he sold them like bumper stickers, and I'm like, that guy's on it.
Did people
This is
buy them at
$1.
record stores or anything, or was it strictly?
Oh
or
no,
basically,
they bought. Foxworthy was responsible for that. Well, I mean, you
there
could
you
go
go.
back to Bill Cosby.
Steve
Like
Martin.
comedy albums were a thing. Like Bill Cosby during that time, Richard Pryor,
Yep.
where albums were a thing, and then it died. Like it died way, way, way down, and then Foxworthy
Dice probably
brought
sold a
it
few
all back.
CDs
Yeah. I mean, many CDs, but still, is that a living?
too. Yeah.
Know?
Well, it's not anymore.
No, I mean, even back then, I wouldn't have said the hard merch. I don't think it would have been a living. It would have been great money to keep going.
Yeah, it's gas money for us. Like,
Fuel. Yeah,
So,
literally.
On Sirius, there's a couple comedy stations on Sirius XM. You guys get paid royalties for those, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they do your clips. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they play a lot. So you get paid as an artist, and then if you are the distributor,
You get a little
they're
percentage,
getting
yeah.
a percentage too. And whoever, but we're all the writer.
Right.
Like, so this is where comedy kind of has the advantage over music, I've always thought, is like if you're, for instance, Linda Ronstadt, she didn't write most of those songs.
Right.
So when they're getting played, she might get her artist royalty from, I don't know how that works. with
Performance.
depends
music.
on what the label deal
yeah.
is.
Okay,
They're
so it goes
splitting
back
that.
to that.
Yeah.
Right. Versus if you're Dolly Parton and you wrote it, boom, boom, boom. But there's not a stand-up that could get played that didn't write their jokes unless they stole it.
Right.
But they can't just re-record like my stuff.
Right,
Like,
cover.
Well, you can on TikTok now. If you like to. But I find it flattering. I just retweet every bored housewife that's like doing. I'm like, wow, look at all these ladies. They're like in their 40s. They clearly the children are at school. I think they're drinking at home, making
them.
TikTok videos. Like, good for you, man.
I remember seeing this guy do my grandpa to my grandpa. That sounded weird. He was playing my grandpa's songs and, mimicking his voice in front of him. And it was in a studio, so we're all kind of close together. And it was just so uncomfortable. It was just so uncomfortable.
He
And
thought that was like fine.
right?
What did your grandpa's face look like? Stone?
He smiled. He smiled at him. He had his
Politely.
coffee cup. I could see him moving the coffee cup a lot. But I was so uncomfortable. And I'm looking at my Aunt Amy like, is this happening? Like, what's going on? And he didn't finish the song. It was maybe like a verse and a chorus. And then, Papa Willie's so sweet to his fans. He just smiled. But it was so uncomfortable. That's not okay.
I always feel sorry. I always felt more sorry for bands than comics too, because at least when we arrive somewhere, we're guaranteed a salary for the week. Whereas I feel like the bands, the expenses you guys have, I'm one person in a car driving to Cleveland, And then they're going to give me a place to stay for free when I get there, whether it's a comedy condo or a shitty hotel room, whatever, it's free. Versus the band, you guys are dragging all that stuff around. I was like, ooh, I think that'd be more fun sometimes. But when I get to the town, there's 2 other comedians plus the staff. That was like my band.
You got your
member.
crew,
I got
yeah.
to know the staff all. I stayed and drank every night with Mimi and whomever.
And as much as you toured,
they
you
became
had to-
lifelong
you had
friends.
to know
Yeah,
them.
like I still will go to Columbus and call Dave and Mimi. Like all the people that I met all those years, they're still around, and I know how to get hold of them. But then on your off days, you're by yourself, and you're not Monday, Tuesday. I don't have to worry about where my band went or where's my stuff.
Why is the
We
bass
don't have
player
any stuff.
hungover? And yeah,
Right. See, that's the kind of shit where I'm like, I get that could be a lot more fun. There's a lot more opportunity there. And sometimes it is lonely driving 10 hours by yourself. But
it's back to that risk reward thing.
yeah, the 80-20 rule.
Well, we're very envious of you guys for just being able to roll in with a microphone and do your thing. However, we have the huge advantage of making a record, and if it's good, being able to play that for people for as long as we're playing, and nobody cares. You guys do your special, spend all that time building a record, and as soon as you do it, you don't get to go out and tour it. It's like, well, time to start all over.
Well, you can do it, but you're right. There's a lot more criticism. Ron gets this a lot. You know, well, all you didn't do. All you did was new stuff. I want to hear the old stuff.
Really?
They want to hear the tater salad joke.
Oh,
Or
well,
the
I guess with
whatever.
Ron, that has to be depending on comedians.
It does
though.
depend.
See, I want to hear new stuff from you guys.
I cut it up. This is how Midwest fair I am. And this is fair to me and fair to the audience. I do a third, a third, a third. A third old, a third new, and then a third like what you call greatest hit.
Yeah.
So you can't, I'm trying to figure out how I can keep them from complaining.
Do you have people holler at you from the crowd to do a certain joke? of yours?
Occasionally, but Ron, people who have what I call like a signature bit, like a signature song. I mean, get her done.
I was about to say that
Are
can
you
boil down to a.
That's being said at the U.S. Open
catchphrase.
golf
Or you
course.
might be
on
a-
the first tee box. Like that's gone beyond
Yeah.
comedy. That just get her done's become part of our vernacular. So Dan, his real name is Dan Larry, whatever. He can't go anywhere, but he still incorporates that in all of his jokes. So whatever the joke is, then he goes get her done, and then
And they go crazy.
Or what about the Hot Pocket thing? The
yeah,
Gaffigan's
but
Hot-
Gaffigan's fans are too polite, I think, to yell it out. Like they're thinking it, and they're hoping for it, but they're really well behaved.
It's funny, this
people.
catchphrase thing just made me think about 70s TV shows like Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. Every show on had to have a catchphrase, and
Yeah.
every character had to. You know,
Yeah,
the
you're
Fonz
right.
was "Hey," and
You're right.
Potsy was,
Or even Blossom.
Ralph
Whoa.
Malcolm, yeah, Chauncey was "Wah wah wah."
Yeah.
Like TV always had some wacky
Yeah.
catchphrase for, especially in the 70s, late 70s.
Everybody
Make a
had a
T-shirt out of
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Where's the
Yeah.
beef? That was
Remember-
the TV show. But
I mean, one of the first things I remember comedian wise was the Jeff Foxworthy "You Might Be a Redneck."
she's a little bit younger than we are.
Yeah.
But that I remember everyone at family reunions just yelling them out and just dying laughing. Like things is hilarious.
It was hilarious, quite frankly.
Then,
When
yeah.
What is my
It doesn't hold up
favorite
today.
one of his is you might be a redneck if you have a child named Dale Jr. and there's no Dales in your family.
That's a good
Like
one.
so many levels.
Jeffs were smart. I mean, some of them were not as smart as others, but he had like there'd be out of 5, there'd be like one super smart one in there where even it would stump the real rednecks. They'd be
Right.
like,
Wait,
now
what?
do what?
Does he get shit on by angry
Dale
comments
Jr.?
a lot because of his success? Or is it
I would
just,
say-
it's so huge, I just have to respect it
No, everybody, I'd say Larry, the cable guy, gets
the most?
the most flack. Yeah, as far as,
Because he's doing a character?
but he's not. That's why I get.
I feel like he's doing an accent more than a character.
He grew up on a pig farm in Nebraska. Then they moved to Florida to another kind of farm. Like rednecks are everywhere. Especially as much traveling as all of us have done. Like you can't just say because he's not born in the South that doesn't mean he can't be a redneck.
Right.
Like I feel like that was always him. But then he started doing that thing on stage back in Florida, and we're the same age, so I remember him. We would do open mics together and then do one-nighters together and all that kind of shit. And he found that thing, And then I ran with it, and I'm like, well, I don't blame him. I mean, if it was working. He used to call into these Tampa stations as Larry the Cable Guy. And that's how it all started, like a thing that, but I mean, even when he was Dan, he was still the same guy.
Right.
It just, that's
different accent,
the name.
same humor.
Yeah. Foxworthy, I think nobody gives him shit. I can't think of people give Carrot Top a lot of shit, and I defend him till my day die. To the day I die. It's a different form of comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be like in music, but I know I couldn't do, his real name is Scott. I know I can't do what Scott does, but I know Scott can't do what I do. But that doesn't mean his is better or worse. So I go, he's hack, he's got props. He's a prop comic. I'm like, yeah, but have you seen the props? They're really funny. They're great. His act is great, and it always has been great. It's just he got ostracized by the purist.
Right.
Because he was doing something weird and different, and he has pyrotechnics. I'm like, come on, we need more of that in stand-up. I like it.
Just a different genre.
Set shit on fire. Let's do it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird thing that people, we all have our opinions on who we think are funny, but I would imagine with comics, with musicians too, it's like there are plenty of people that everybody loves that I think are genius. I don't really like them, but I can look at them and go, I see what they're doing, and I understand why millions and millions of people love them. But, it's not my thing. But, sitting around and being offended when people don't like your art or whatever, it's also subjective. It seems kind of silly to get worked up over
The most irritating thing is a lot of people, not a lot, but enough, people use stand-up as a jumping board to celebrity or actor or whatever. That annoys us more than anything else. Like, just get off the stage if you don't really want to be a stand-up. Like, if you're just using this as, like, your hoard to get to your next thing, and I won't name names, but there are people that have become very famous from doing that. And stand-up meant nothing to them. It was nothing but another trampoline to get to the next trampoline, and the next trampoline, whatever the fuck whatever they want to be. At the end of the day, I think it's just celebrity.
Right.
Whatever that means. Famous, like your
Yeah.
pictures in People magazine or red carpets.
The popular crowd in school.
Yeah, the
that's
cool
basically-
kids. Yeah, and there are the cool kid clique in LA and the cool kid clique in New York. And if you can get into that, and I have found all of those people to be terribly vacant and a waste of time. But some people,
And
that's
everybody
the goal.
thinks they're all together having a party all the time.
Right. Isn't everybody at the beach house in Malibu?
And when you mentioned that, we all think about New York and LA comics. You didn't really you weren't.
Neither.
Yeah, I guess because you were from St. Louis, but even where you landed, you didn't.
If you're on the road, you're on the road.
Yeah, I guess
like
that's it.
you just live on the road. If
Yeah.
you're on the road, like even my accountant back in the day was like, "Are these nights on the road correct? Did you really do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude. That's
Audit me.
Yeah, I gotta go now. Hurry up. I'm
Right.
supposed to be in Omaha." Like, I feel like there's bands that have done that. You just live on the road, but that's what I liked. I liked when people are like, well, don't you want a normal life? I'm like, probably not. I think I would find it routine. The routine would get to me. I prefer chaos.
Yeah.
But I guess it's how you're raised too. If you're raised in semi-chaos, good chaos, not necessarily, sometimes bad.
Shit
but
going on.
yeah, the safety to me is boring.
Are there, and I imagine, I know there are, but as far as in the music scene, there are bands that are gigantic regionally, maybe 3 or 4 states. And they're like, you know what? This is all I need. And we're going to tour the shit out of the 3, 4, 5 states. Comedians, are there guys that just settle in and just...
There's a few. Like the funniest one to me of all of them, there's a guy named Bob Marley. He's white.
Yep.
He's not the real
I know
Bob
you're talking
Marley.
about it. I've made that
He's
mistake.
the king of Maine.
Maine.
Yeah, Maine.
Well, I know we have Killer Bees that's been going through here the South
Killer
forever.
Bees is James Gregory. He's in the funniest man in the South.
Yep.
He's an
I
old
used to
guy
hear those
now.
ads
but
for the Zanies all the time.
Yeah, he's the funniest man in the South. And that's
Killer
Killer Bees.
Bees, yeah.
Yeah, same up. Like Bob, though, to me was the funniest because we were all like, really? Maine. Like,
Why'd you pick that one?
Well, that's where he's from.
Oh, there
and
you
he's
go.
got like kids and a wife, and he was like, I figured it out. And he's got that weird like accent that I can't even really properly duplicate. But he's like, I'm just gonna stay in Maine and get the bus, and it's like a Kennedy. I'm like, I feel like I'm listening to an old Kennedy tape of John Kennedy or something. I fucking get so much work up here. It's crazy, Madigan. It's crazy. And if he never wants to leave, I mean, he might venture into Vermont.
Right.
Dip
his toe
maybe
across
he'll
the
do
border.
a Thursday in New Hampshire. But like they can't get enough of him. And he'll just go round and round and round. I do not find that to be anywhere true except Bob and then Southern comedians.
So, yeah.
There's no like West Coast ones. There's no regional people. It's a real anomaly when it happens in stand-up.
Well, I don't know. Is there? Can you really tour the West Coast, or is there just a couple of spots
It's
really
fucked
there?
up.
You know,
That's why I don't even like doing it.
because when we go
it's
out
too
there,
far away.
It's a long. I mean,
it's too far
there's a lot of land, but there's not a whole lot of things you can do. Like in Nashville, you know this.
Yeah.
10 hours from a lot
Oh
of
my
places.
God. Yeah.
Until you get to Texas, you can play almost everywhere.
Well, I would
within
think
10
that
hours.
Texas might create their own
Oh yeah, Texas. They have their own.
music deal.
the
What-
Red Dirt.
Yeah, red. Yep.
I
that's
forget
it.
what it's called,
Red Dirt.
but yeah, there's bands. The Randy Rogers band made a fortune doing that,
and they never leave.
Yeah, they
do
just
some,
never-
but
I mean,
they don't
occasionally,
have to.
but their main.
Cody Canada does that.
Wow.
What's that other guy? There's a few of them, and they just go all. I mean, Texas is
It's
so big.
so big. Well, you change time zones in your own state.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know it's gotten out of hand when you're.
That's a fun
still,
drive from
You're
Texas
still
to
in
Nashville.
Texas. I
Yeah.
know. Even in St. Louis, like I could get to Little Rock in 4 hours, Chicago in 4.5 hours, Memphis. Like St. Louis was by accident a really good place to start comedy.
Right.
Because the road was there's so much. I know more about Iowa than probably a lot of Iowans. Honestly, like I've been I'm like, you ever been to Storm Lake? Bet you haven't been there. Did a college gig there. Like I could, because where I'm starting, I'm like, that's where the one-nighters are. And Kentucky is a hop jumping away. Like it was I always felt sorry for the comedians that start like in the Northwest or even the west of Texas. I'm like, you just gotta move, dude. You can't be out here in
long
fucking
way from
Midland.
something.
Yeah, you got to go at least to Dallas.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
God forbid I say you leave Texas. I know that's the worst thing I could possibly. It's like, why don't you just stab me? Like, okay. You don't have to leave Texas, but could you at least move to Dallas or Austin or even San Antonio But comedy, I think the Southern. I used to call it the Southeast Alcoholic Corner. There were like 5 guys, no women, that I would call a poor man's version of Ron White mixed with Rodney Carrington. They usually had a guitar.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you're like, that was always our biggest thing. If you have a guitar, you're a total hack. Because
Oh, as
we
a
know
comedian.
secretly you wanted to be
Be a
a
musician,
musician,
yeah.
and then you made somebody laugh when you were doing a real music set, and then you're like,
Now you're squeezing
now
yourself
you're
in
just
here.
fucking
Yeah.
coming on in here with your, and then we can't follow it. Nobody wants to follow a guitar act because now it's like you had music and we're just up there with words.
They can sing parodies of somebody else's song and you're sunk already.
Yeah, and the whole parody thing of you change 2 words. No. I call that a
Works every
hashtag fail.
time,
I
too.
know,
It's just gotta be frustrating as
People
shit.
love it. They love it. I'm like, oh my God, I'd rather watch a super black hack comic do the black church thing
Yeah.
than watch this just garbage. But the Southeast Alcoholic Corner, I call it. I won't even say their names, but there was like 5 of
feel
them.
free.
No, there were like 5 of them. They never left. You could go from the Carolinas down through Florida, all through Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee would be the top. You can't go further than that line. And then
Yankees.
yeah, and you stay down there, and you make $1,000 a week, and you drink, and
Hard to argue.
you just
against
keep
that.
going.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to argue till you see them at 50. And then you're like, whoo. And I'm their age of them now. And I think, I wonder if I look like that to like the young comics. Like, oh my God, the road really
I guess
took
it just becomes your day job at that point.
But they loved it. And they were good enough. You know, if you paid $8 to see Russ, yeah, it was worth it. You know, it's fine.
Is
It's
Russ a
good.
clue? That might be one
That's
of them.
a clue, but I won't go any further
to
because they're
Google.
sweethearts. They're good
Right.
guys.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
this is what I was like. Wow, like I think in my family, like everybody's so competitive, and I had just never seen a complete lack of ambition. Like I'm good, but you're not anywhere. Like I get it if you say I'm good and you're Leno, you're really good.
Right.
You're Seinfeld. You are really good. Like. You have a shitty van. Like you need a better van to keep this carnival going.
It'll be 50 someday.
No, not until it breaks. We're
Right.
not gonna get ahead of that problem. We're just gonna let it be a problem.
Right.
Like, wow. But in stand up, you can do it. You can book Charlotte and then Charleston and Myrtle Beach and keep going. Then go all the way. We always used to make fun of all the Florida clubs. They're just shitty, bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I do my taxes seriously? Kathleen, we don't think you've reported the correct amount for bonkers.
I swear.
Well, what about Go Bananas in Cincinnati? Like all the club names are so fucking stupid that you just feel idiotic even writing that down on a literal, for real piece of
Giggles.
paper.
Yeah.
Right. Zanies. Wow.
How do you like Zanies?
I love Zanies, but this is like there's 2 in Chicago and 1 here, and that's it. So it's not like some massive chain.
When I say Zanies, I mean the one in Nashville. Screw the other ones.
Right, but they're all kind of connected. So I
Yeah.
went to the ones in Chicago first, and I was like, they're more. I don't want to use the term because it sounds bad, but in my mind, more shit kicker in the old school way, in a good way. Like I keep joking, Brian, my friend Dorfman, owns Zanies, and I'm like, dude, you're like the classic comedy club, and there's only like 3 left. And what I'm saying, by saying that, what I'm saying is you're cheap and you haven't done shit to your club in 30 years. But you've now passed the line where you're a classic.
vintage
yeah,
now.
you're vintage now. You're retro.
Right.
It's retro comedy. And he knows it, but there's only so much you can do with that space anyway. I'm like, yeah, but you could upgrade the bathroom.
It doesn't look a
How
lot different
about-
over the 20 years that I've been
No,
going
but
there.
that also, like a band, for you guys, that's why we like it. Because you feel instantly, don't fuck up what's working.
Yeah.
And there's something about that room. I think it's because it's so, everybody's so close together. It's so cozy in there that you just never have a bad show. And the minute they screw with that, they've done it in Columbus, Ohio. They moved the Funny Bone, which was perfect, to this other location, and now it's not perfect.
Yeah.
You lost it.
I've always
So-
wondered what made a good club for comedians, because for us it's PA. You know, I mean, there are some really shithole clubs that we love. That the Nick in Birmingham. Been playing there for 30 years. Same deal. Hasn't changed. A few more stickers up. Smells a little
You
more
don't
like
even
piss.
play until 1 a.m.
Oh, God.
But
You
it's one of those-
start at 1 a.m.?
One of those ancient. They're still in the 90s.
How late are the
you know?
bars open? 3?
I mean,
Yes.
it is the latest bar open.
And they want people drinking till 3.
Yeah.
And they open at like 11, and there's like a biker hang, then after work hang, and then band. But it's been around forever.
So when you guys are booking these, are you just booking them for one night?
Yes.
Are you on the weekends? You know, a couple.
And we
okay.
don't ever double. You never
no,
play
we never
2 nights
double
in a
up.
row or any of that.
Right,
It's just
he's right.
hit the city.
Although we're
onto
doing
the
that
next one.
kind of soon.
Well,
That's what I mean. Are you stringing them together? So there's 5 one-nighters in a row?
Yes, that's how you do it.
Okay.
And we stopped trying to make 2 or 3 week runs because you're losing money on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and most times Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are paying off all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So back to being in Nashville, there's places we can go, maybe leave Wednesday night or even Thursday morning and do a whole weekend and come back and save the money for the first of the week and then shoot, Florida, Pittsburgh, and just
Yeah.
all directions from here.
It always makes me feel good. I have a place out on Old Hickory out on the lake. And
Oh,
there's-
When
nice.
did you move here?
Well, here's the thing. I really love Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. That's where I
Yeah.
was like raised and stuff. But that lake, unfortunately, is 3 hours from either airport, Kansas City or St. Louis. So that can't be when I'm working really hard. I need to be
Close.
But I
You're
really
traveling
want.
before you
I
even
need to
start
be by an
traveling.
airport,
Right.
right. And then I was talking with Dorfman, and I don't know, like 5 years ago. I'm like, it'd be great if I could have a place here, but I got to be on a lake. And he's like, well, Old Hickory Lake. I go, I've been coming here 25 years, Brian. You've never taken me to the lake. He's not a lake guy. He's a golf guy. He takes me golfing, which is great. But I'm like, what do you mean? There's a fucking lake. And so I'm like, this is great. I mean, it's a river. Let's
Right.
not get too crazy. It's a river. There's some weird stuff in there, but it'll do. It's good enough. It's
water.
water.
Dead bodies
I can
in there.
fish. I can take the boat out, have fun, drink beers. So that's when but the Kroger out by Old Hickory is where the tour buses. It's one of the big places in Nashville where they load up on Wednesdays, and you see the bus driver going in Kroger and getting all the food. But it always makes me happy if I'm going to the airport to go. They have to go too.
Right.
I'm like, get on the bus. Come on, musicians. If I got to go, you got to go. And then to see them all come back on Sunday, it's fun.
Yeah.
To know that I'm like, I always just see the bus. I'm like, go to your work. Go to
Load
your
them up.
job. Go
Get
to
in.
your job.
And you're
Yeah.
off.
It's that lake is only 7 minutes from the airport. Mm-hmm. I mean, could you
How long have
ask
you
for
lived here?
anything? I bought a place out there like 5 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. I would have done it a lot sooner if Brian had told me there was a lake.
So were you based out of St. Louis or around there still?
No, I had a place
Oh.
in LA forever, but you had to be, there's like a 10-year period where to get on The Tonight Show or Last Comic Standing, all those shows were being auditioned out there and booked out there. So when you would get home from the road, I mean, I was still doing the road like that though, 35 weeks a year, but then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or an off week, you could go say, okay, I'm going to go run a set for the Tonight Show people. They're not coming outside of LA, so I need to go there. So I had an apartment, and then I bought a tiny little house that I sold for way more than it ever should have sold for. And then you take that money to Missouri or Tennessee, and you're like, oh my God, I come with all the money.
There's quite a few people have figured that out.
Yes,
The rock dudes figured that out in the 90s.
Yeah.
They started coming here in the 90s.
Even comedians, like other comedians, Steve Byrne came now. Theo Vaughn,
Theo's here.
he's here. Like all these people that have finally.
Bargatze's from here, right?
Yeah, he's actually from Old Hickory.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, from right out there. Yeah. Which when you talk to Nashville, people are like, "Now where's that?"
Well, it's
I'm like, "It is." Do you know where your airport is?
right. Well,
Like they act like it's Chattanooga. That's the vibe you get. Like, oh my God, how long does it take you to get downtown? 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really fine. You all should go out there. Of
course, if you say
there's
Old
two
Hick-
lakes.
yeah, if you say
There's a
Old
Percy
Hickory
Priest Lake
Boulevard,
too. Right. Well,
could
that
be
could
anywhere.
that could be
You've
that does a
probably
loop
figured
de
that
loop.
out.
Or yes, my parents figured that out
did
by
they?
not taking proper directions. Now where do you live?
You're like,
We're on Old Hickory and somewhere called Franklin.
you've been driving the wrong
Wonk,
way.
wonk, old people.
What about Lakewood getting there's speed traps in Lakewood? And do you have to go through that a lot in Old
Never
Hickory?
noticed.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't-
Yeah. She's like, yes.
No,
Uh-huh.
there's Oh yeah, that one. There's one by the school, but I met a cop there who's real nice. So
Yeah. I got pulled over there a lot growing up because they're just speed trappy in Lakewood. It's like the town's like this big and
yeah, they don't even call it that anymore. There's a sign that says Lakewood,
what do they call it?
Old Hickory.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they just dropped
They
Lakewood
absorbed it.
without your permission. They did absorb it. It's just like gone. Yeah, it's very strange. But as for somebody who's still doing the road, it's great. And then when I have a lot of time off, I can go to Missouri to the lake. Not talking smack about the Cumberland River.
I get you.
But it's
gross.
a damn
Well, if you
lake.
live on the
It's a
Cumberland, it's
lake. Not to get too deep into this, another shut up about Old Hickory Lake. But there's river markers which you should follow to stay in the channel, unless you have a really good depth finder and you're willing to be going 40 miles an hour and flip.
Right.
You should probably stay. But the channel markers are these old beat up. They kind of look like a rodeo barrel.
Right.
With shitty little decals on them that I'm like, now let's count how many famous people, country music people, have lived or are currently living on this lake. How about we have a fundraiser so we can mark the goddamn lake?
So I'm not running up on
this
shore
is
and-
such dog shit. They'll go, oh, well, see that marker? It's behind that tree. Some of them are on land, like behind houses. We're like, that's the
That's where
bank.
the river used to
That's the
be up there.
bank.
Yeah.
When it gets high, you'll see it. Now, and when it's low, you just
probably
got to
don't wanna-
memorize that your boat needs to stay right here. When you get to Johnny Cash's house, do not go across the lake. I'm like, well, there's something telling you not to. But you can't, like, unless you're in a bass boat or something, but if you're in a boat, like
Right.
an inboard motor, 21 or larger foot, you will get on land.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't grow up on a lake like that. I grew up on a lake that was dammed, and they dug it out and like properly.
Right.
And it's Ozark, the movie Ozark.
Yeah.
That lake,
yeah.
that's the one I grew up on. And I'm like, this one, I'm like, I know that was Johnny Cash's house. I know this is Dolly Parton's property. I know there are very rich people.
Where's
that
the
are-
fucking shallow water? Tell
Yeah,
me where that is.
I'm not asking for a lot. I need better decals. How about a GoFundMe? Can we get something that glows in the dark? God forbid you go out there at night. Like sometimes I'll see guys come in the cove and I know they're frog gigging or whatever, and I'm like, you're the bravest people in America. Like I just found the two bravest men in America. Like you could go home and hit a car
Right.
floating in the river that came from a fucking who knows where, and then
From
they,
Johnny Cash's house.
Right. I docked there and got up and walked up to just about a year ago before they flipped it all. Ron went with me. I go, let's do it. You think we'll get in trouble?
No. Yeah.
But it was just cool to walk the property. You could see the tennis court and the pool, and nobody was there.
Is Old Hickory where the thing fell over the ice storm? Mm-hmm. That was where it was. Yeah. Did you
It's
hear
not
about the marina?
one. There's a lot.
Yours wasn't.
No. But this is where, again, I go, sometimes I feel, and I'll probably take some shit for this, but I don't feel like Southerners prepare enough for what could potentially happen.
No,
Like
no.
at the lake in Missouri, my entire life, no dock, minus a tornado, not counting tornado damage. say freezing rain and snow, which we get more of in Missouri than they would in Tennessee. No dock that I am aware of has ever flipped or collapsed. One time in 5 years I've lived here, we had an ice storm, 2 inches of ice, buried by 6 inches of wet snowman snow.
Yep.
Every fucking dock.
Yeah.
Done. Gone.
There'd be a new
collapsed.
video of them the next day. There's another one that came out. You could just watch it. Bye, bye, bye.
I feel like even the dock I have, the guy thought it was a great dock when he sold it to me. It's all right. It ain't great.
Well, the ice storms happen so rarely.
That's what they all say.
What they do is they're building up. Should we do it for the ice? Fuck it.
Why should we prepare for something that happens every 6 years, maybe 1 or 2 days?
Yeah, we got
long?
insurance for that shit. Fuck it. Just put the.
It's the pronunciation of the word insurance. Insurance.
Yeah, insurance. Exactly.
Right. Well, you gonna call your insurance?
I got insurance on my
but it's
restaurant.
gonna be a while. And there's
Yeah.
people that were in that boat that at Sam's at Old Hickory when that thing. There were people living in those boats.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be apparently, but they were.
I know. And then they go, "We're trying to." The news girl's like, "We're trying to get a manifest." I'm like, "From the bar? You're trying to get a manifest from the bar?" And I go, "Do you think half of the hillbillies that live in those boats? If you said, tell me how many people are living, fuck you.
Right.
That's America. I ain't got to tell you shit." They're not going to tell you.
I live in a boat, goddammit. Leave me alone.
That's the reason I moved to a boat, asshole.
Exactly.
They're not going to. I was like, oh my God, I've just never seen ice cause
Honestly,
the damage.
This was one of the roughest ice, as far as thickness goes.
It was
I haven't
bad.
seen that in a while.
No, it was crazy.
But we're not prepared for it. We love that it
it's
happens.
been probably,
and shuts,
10 or 15 years since we've seen something
but
like that, right?
Everybody
think-
complains when they shut the city down for snow. And it's like, calm down. You get the day off. Who cares?
Right.
It snowed 3 inches. What, are you going to shut down everything for? Yes.
Yes,
Let
we
them do
are.
it. It'll be gone in a day. Take the day off. Relax. That's
Right.
what we
back
do
to
here.
Well,
that.
I do like that part.
Yeah.
My favorite ever was in Atlanta, I don't know, recently, within the last 5 years, it was a huge ice snowstorm. They literally, the people in Atlanta just abandoned their vehicles. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can't just get out on the highway and leave your car. And they fucking did. And then I was down there for a show, and the guy's like, well, is the show still on? This is 3 days after the ice storm. I go, well, why is there something wrong over at the theater or something? It was a Buckhead
Threat
theater.
going on here.
Well, we just didn't know if the weather's freaking you out. I'm here. I'm fucking here. I came here. Well, we're good. Well, you have ticket sales. They'll be fine. It's 3 days. We're good. There's just such a panic that I guess in the Midwest. And,
Yeah,
and
we
she's
panic.
Canadian. And when the docks started, she's like, what the fuck's going on? Don't they have
Nope.
Canada? The docks stay up.
Right.
Canada. And I go, here's I think if you ask somebody here, can I buy a concrete dock? Which in Missouri would be the best you could buy and the most sturdy. I think they would look at you like they maybe not heard of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's an investment. Instead of spending the $40,000 for the dock, the aluminum one, that if a tornado comes, which it will,
That you replace every
it's going to
10 to
end up
12
a
years.
mangled swing set in Percy Priest. It started in Old Hickory. It's going to land in Percy Priest Lake. That they would just look at you like, it's like when I asked the guy for a tankless water heater. Well, I heard of them. I'm like, dude, they're at Home Depot in Nashville.
Right.
I'm not asking for space age shit. I'm not asking for Jetson shit. But the docks, I was just like, wow, I do understand the ice was bad. And I understand the snow was heavy and it was wet. But to see what it did,
It's bad.
it wasn't just Sam's. On the news, they kept saying this dock. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, youngster. It's all the
All the
docks.
docks.
Only 2 made it. There's a lot of things in the South that I don't think of Missouri as North or South.
Right.
It was both, but when you're in the South, it's the amount of shit I've heard blamed on rain when it ain't raining. Dealing with a house and trying to build shit. Well, you gonna get on over there, but the rain. Look, I've been home. It's not rained in 7 days. This is horse shit, but they believe that. It's true to him. I can't call him out on it because he believes it. He's like, it's still pretty muddy. No, it's not. But that goes back to my old. I used to do a joke about it. When you go to the South, it's just sometimes if you're not from the South, the tempo and the pacing of everything can kind of eventually get on your nerves and irritate you a little faster, where you just even asking for directions. Well, if you, oh my God, I could have been there and back. Just say you don't know. Just say you don't know. And then I can walk away. I go, but this is why the South lost the Civil War. War is a snappy event. You can't sit there going, yo, I think them Yankees are fixing to come. Shit, they're here, y'all. They're here. Like, they're how do you orchestrate a war when you're all this at this tempo? Boom, boom, come on. I don't need it to be Jersey Shore fast. But can we go Midwest fast? Like, or you just answer me within a 5-minute period? Just one question. And like the whole... I said to my brother, I said, if you think of the Civil War, sometimes it's embarrassing. It took that long to kick their ass because of the pacing. That should have been over in an hour. The fact that the South hung on that long shows that they were just crazy enough. Yes. It's just psych of redneck enough to keep it going.
What they lack in speed, they make up in crazy.
Yeah. What they lack in tempo, they will make up in bold batshit, not thought through, seem like a good idea at the time. Fuck you.
Do you
See,
think
that's what
when
I love about the
there was
South.
an ice or snow during the Civil War that they just took a couple of days off?
They should have waited to start when it snowed. I'm like, guys, now's the time.
Right? How did Pennsylvania not cremate them in February?
Exactly. All right, boys, snow's on the ground. Let's go.
It's raining ice. We don't know what lay down. This is crazy. Just sit down.
What the hell?
Right. Meanwhile, you get a bunch of guys from Pennsylvania. Boom, 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 boom. They think nothing of it. It just, all of it makes me laugh. But I still prefer, in a million times over, the South or the Midwest compared to anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, I do too.
I will
Probably because I'm
always
from
be.
here, but
Missouri's halfy. Like the Ozarks is pretty. It can
Yeah.
get very hillbilly-fied. Like, so I'm used to all of it. I don't know that I could. But even like I was just in Mobile for the weekend. I loved it.
yeah.
I love Mobile. Like,
Yeah.
there's just parts of the South that I'm glad nobody gives a shit about because I love it.
Yeah.
And I don't need everybody showing up from Yeehaw, wherever, going.
When they
"Whoa."
discover Alabama, we're all fucked.
I know, I love Alabama, and there's no traffic.
Exactly.
I'm like, this place. If you golf,
If you
the
can get through
Robert Trent
Birmingham,
Jones
yes.
Golf Trail,
I play
you can
golf, so
go.
yep.
Then there's nobody there, and it's reasonably priced. And you're like, then Mobile, you're on the bay, you're on the Gulf.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
I
water's
don't need the
beautiful in
beach.
certain spots. Dolphin Island out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all like, let's just not tell people.
Yeah.
And
We'll edit this
We'll
part
edit this
out.
part out so nobody knows. Okay, so wow, we're almost we've gone a long time. So I wanted to ask you about my grandpa. So when's the first time you remember hearing about Papa Willie?
that would be from my parents in their country music phase in the 70s, which I believe lasted maybe. Well, they've always still kind of stuck to it, which is why I only know people like your grandpa and who's Waylon Jennings, like that whole crowd my parents listened to. So I knew it all from then. And then all those guys, whatever came after that, I didn't keep up with.
You got
And
lucky.
then the next thing I know, it's Carrie Underwood. And I'm like, is that really
Doesn't sound like Loretta Lynn.
country? Right, Loretta Lynn. Tanya Tucker. My mom played that album till I know every word of every song.
It's like when you hear somebody go, I like country music, I just don't like that twangy shit. You're like, well, you don't like country
you
music.
kind of
like
missed,
country music.
missed the point. Yeah. I like the new kind, like Taylor Swift.
Right.
That's not really country. Yeah.
Right.
The new. Now I sound like an old person though. Like the new people.
It's pop.
Yeah, I'm not
pop.
shitting on it. People love it.
Well,
it's
you know
just
what?
not country
Okay,
music to me.
Like, look at just cut out your grandpa's clothes. Those are just really his clothes.
Yeah.
When you're having your jeans tailored to fit, not hemmed. If you're short, that's fine. That's cool. But I mean, you have the $4,000 leather jacket on. It's all so contrived to me. I'm like, who's still living that life?
Yeah, unless
Anybody?
you're Little Richard or somebody, you know.
Right. You got
gotta do your
the
thing there.
pass on that.
Right.
Liberace got it too.
Absolutely.
You do whatever you want
Yes.
with your outfits.
Yes.
But I don't feel like these people are living that life, and so therefore I sense it to not be true.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that life's still around to 20-somethings unless you go out and search it because they spend a lot of time indoors and not out with a bunch of people.
Well, I don't know about a 20-something. Yeah. Well, I know there's got to be kids in Texas, and
You would think, but
I don't
see
even
little evidence of it.
Well, I don't even mean I mean, like drinking, smoking, going on the road.
Do they do that much anymore? Her little sister's like 20. I mean, they still party at 20, but it's a different kind of.
I don't mean like hammered.
No, I just mean what we did.
I just
at
mean
18 to
feral.
20. Yeah,
Feral,
kind of
like
wild.
feral, like all the country women, music women, even Dolly and her sisters, and we're just gonna leave our holler and head on up to Tennessee. No parents to help them. No, I feel like those people were what I heard them sing to me sounded like what I believed, and now
they were singing what they knew,
what they meant.
And a lot of them were writing
felt,
their own words.
Tammy Wynette's from where, like bumfuck Mississippi or one in Alabama.
Georgette's told us.
I forget. where she-
Because she was BFFs with Patsy Cline, and I don't want to sound like an old person that doesn't like new stuff. I do like some of the new country songs, but I don't. To me, country music was about the story that was being told by the person that was telling it, and I believed all of it. So if it's Loretta Lynn going, you ain't gonna hit me again. I mean, that's a line in a song.
Yeah.
I know she's been hit.
Yeah.
And she's drawn a line. God damn it, she's not gonna. Good for you.
That's
That's
about
right.
time,
That's
Loretta. You show 'em.
right.
You
We're
go,
gonna
girl.
bring that up at the next women's social. I'm telling
PTA.
everybody at bingo, you can't hit us again. I just believed it when I watched the CMAs or whatever the country music awards are. I won't mention the guys, but you know who they are. They come out and there's a song, and I don't hate the song.
Yeah, it's just a different beast.
I don't attach to you though.
Or then there's some people who, I know I won't name any names. They'll come into town, they'll do their thing, it's not working, and then they grow their hair out, or they'll do the beard thing, or they just change something, and all of a sudden it was just like an image,
A thing to do the thing.
and then it worked. But it's not you. You just
I think also a lot of those type
just
of
trying to be Chris
personalities
Stapleton.
are not getting through the label thing like they used to. You know, they used to let some personalities through, and they would have to get they'd have to get lucky, because Willie got lucky.
I definitely don't feel that way with the women. I feel like you have to be cute.
Or 14.
So, yeah, or both.
Yeah.
That'd be even better.
9.
If you could be 14
9. It'd be
and
better
cute,
if you were
cute.
9.
And you don't
But
have to be
like-
cute as a man, but you're going to sound exactly like the guy that just
have to
put
have
out
a
a song
beard.
before you.
Oh,
Yeah, and you kind of have to lose a bunch of weight. Look at all these country guys that used to be kind of chubby,
Yeah.
and then they put them on. It's all an image. It's like a creation, and I don't necessarily buy. But maybe parenting has gotten better too.
Maybe.
Like, and we don't have as many feral people. Like,
could be.
I mean, Johnny Cash is like he was feral
But
for
there's-
no other lack of.
Yeah, there's got to be some crazy ones out there, but the machine that's set up to make
Won't let 'em-
stars is not. I mean, there was still a machine back then, but people got through the cracks. It seemed like, or they took a lot of. The mob was running the record label business for a long time, and they were like, I don't know, try that, it's crazy. And then they started hiring executives that thought they knew what people wanted, and then it starts clamping down. And I don't know that any originality much can even break through on a mass scale like that.
No.
You know.
They're going to mold you.
Yeah,
They
to
don't
a-
believe that you can do it just being you. It's like, yeah, what you've got's great. It's a good start, but
Which is why you have to have 14-year-old girls, because they're yes men, right? At 14, you're going to be like, okay, I want to be
right.
famous.
You'll do whatever
I'll do it.
they say.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to cross over into pop, and I think it's a terrible mistake. And I keep saying, every time I watch like CMAs and all this stuff, I'm like, if somebody came out, I don't know who, male or female, and did old school country, I think they would skyrocket. But it has to be for real.
well, the thing
But
is,
would they put
Sturgill's,
them on that award show?
Sturgill's, yeah.
he
Sturge.
did it. He didn't skyrocket like he could because he's
been
not
pretty
taking
good.
shit from anybody. No, but I mean, as big as he is, it's without any of that machinery.
Yeah, it's all him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot.
But if the machinery would get behind Sturgill and let him do what the fuck he does, he would go huge because people are.
But isn't
I
that
think-
why your grandpa left here?
Yeah.
To go back to Texas? Because the machine existed then and
Yeah,
it
and
left.
they're like,
and
we like your songs, we don't like your voice.
yeah.
And then he ran into a New York guy, Jerry Wexler, that let him do his thing. Boom, redheaded stranger.
And then all the
Bang.
Texas
a whole
guys.
genre. Yeah.
Who's the one
He
who was
told
in
Waylon to go out there with them, and it was just, he said it's
Do
where the
their own
hippies
thing.
and the cowboys hang out together, you know?
Yeah. I think the machine will drive you out or you become it.
Yeah.
to live within it, it's got to be so frustrating.
Unless all you want to do is be famous, and then it must be invigorating. Because
Right.
you know,
If you
'Cause you're like, oh,
are the names we
finally.
can think of right now, and I don't even know if they're nice people or bad people.
Yeah.
I don't know anything other than
But that's
I
clearly
know
their
you're a
end game.
creation.
Yeah, but if you want to be proud of what you're creating,
Well, I don't know that they would
I think
define.
we're all
they-
talking about them as if they're us. They don't give
They're
a shit
de-
about that.
it all
They
goes
don't
back
give
to
a shit.
definitions. What is your definition of proud?
right?
So,
So
say
if you're
you're say you're
famous-
Carrie Underwood and you sang a song really well and you're cute. She might be good with that.
Yeah, millions
know?
of
But
people love you.
She won one of those shows, right? Like that's
She
how
did.
she's
Yeah,
famous.
she's from Oklahoma.
So,
She went to the
so
St.
did
Louis
Miranda.
audition.
Miranda Lambert
She was
too.
on one of 'em.
Like, can we name big ones today that didn't, other than Taylor Swift, who doesn't sound like country anymore?
Well,
No.
you got to give Taylor credit. Yeah, she left country and then went to pop and blew the fuck up in pop. So you got to
and she
give
was actually
Taylor all
stating,
kinds of-
"Hey, I've decided not to do country more.
Yeah.
She came out and said it.
Said
Like,
it.
I'm not doing country. This is obviously what I'm choosing to do now."
She just picked
She's
another
not
lane,
pretending.
didn't try and cross over. It's like, this is my country
Famous?
stuff.
I don't know. Can you name any famous country star female that's not cute? Not that we would want to call somebody out
Well,
for being
yeah,
ugly.
I was about to
phrased
say,
that
nah,
though.
you just
Well,
set 'em
just,
up.
let's just say normal looking, or maybe somewhat
Not a
overweight.
starlet.
Just not a
Or
6
somewhat-
or above, right?
Right.
Like, we're talking about.
Is there anybody that's wearing a 12?
Or that doesn't rely on their image and just mostly.
No, I can't think of one.
But if
yeah,
you
there's
go
n-
backwards before videos became a thing, let's go back before. There's some chubby ones in a good way.
Yeah.
These people were, but I just don't think with the
Yeah,
visual,
like Patsy
the
was
visual.
kind of
Yeah,
butterface, you know.
yeah, that's a good word.
And I
Call
think
it
she's
Waffle
beautiful.
House, if you will.
But if you were super skinny back then, they thought you had like rickets or something.
Or
you know?
no,
Like,
your
what's wrong
doctor,
with you?
your doctor gave you speed after you had that baby.
Yeah, there
he
you
gave
go.
you speed and a carton of Camel Lights.
Yep, and the Coca-Cola with cocaine in it. Yeah.
I don't know. But I also feel like what we're talking about is
can't think
probably
of an
true in
uncute one.
pop.
I think it's probably true in the entertainment business
Like
if you
Lizzo,
break it down and go
you
all
know,
the way.
she's not.
Well, true.
I like her stuff, but she's not super skinny pop, you know.
No, but
Pop
she
star.
does use that to her advantage, and
That's
that
her
it's
thing,
her
yeah, she
appearance.
made it her
it's
thing.
not just her voice. It's like, oh, here's my thing. I'm not super skinny, but it's still
Right, she's
focused
doing
on.
a
You
thing.
know, it's still a thing.
It's a thing, right?
Instead of
Versus
just like,
well,
I'm
who's the
singing.
lady from that band? It's not Alabama. Brittany.
Oh, Alabama Shakes.
Spears.
Yeah, Alabama
Brittany
Shakes, yeah.
Brittany
yeah.
Howard.
Yeah, she's a big girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But great, and that seems authentic to me.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, we need more
It's too bad.
uncute
Maybe
country
it'll
stars.
turn. You know, everything,
Maybe.
everything runs its gamut. And I feel like the TV people, the movie people, and the music and the comedy people, all the agent, manager, whatever people, call them the corporate people. They're all followers for the most part. There's very few leaders out there, and so it used to be like if you saw a sitcom that worked, you'd see 5 more just like it, but with different people because everybody's scared to go out and do but they're like, well, that worked. Let's just fucking do that. Except we'll make Bill Cosby white.
Right.
In this
Yeah.
one, and, you know, blah, blah,
We'll
blah.
get a Hispanic to play
In
that
the
one.
music, I feel like it's the same thing. Okay, so this guy
Yeah.
works. So Luke Bryant's popular. Is there a younger guy that
I
looks
gotta-
like
So let's
Luke
make
Bryant?
Jason Aldean, and
And
yeah.
then we keep going and
Blake
going.
Shelton's
and,
working,
Yeah,
so-
I feel like Luke Combs is real.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I feel like
sure.
that guy's authentic. Like
Yeah.
I really know he'd probably invite me into a trailer and have a
Yes.
keg in it and a solo cup waiting for me. I mean, if it's contrived,
It's not.
I've been tricked.
A lot of those guys, he's kind of like Sturgill. They come out of nowhere and kind of make something on their own and then get people's interest. Like the label's like, oh, we can make some money off that.
Right.
You've done the hard work for us. Let's take all of
It can switch though, because let's say somebody old school, super authentic, kind of feral shows up with a shitload of talent. Then they'll all want that.
Oh, yeah.
Every corporate jerk will go, I don't want the polished, good-looking person. I
it'll
want the
happen.
awkward, weird person.
yeah.
But that one authentic person will spawn a bunch of inauthenticity
Yeah, right.
behind it.
Then it becomes the
Because
problem
I got a buddy who makes huge records here in town by a huge country artist, and he's like major labels. They're great at duplicating, but they're not innovating jack shit. All they're doing is duplicating previous success and watering it down a little more and try. And then somebody smart will come along, change the dynamic, and they'll get right back to duplicating whatever that is. You know, I don't think there's as many mavericks running shit in general as there used to be. People
No.
in power that have the final say, they can go, fuck it, sign Frank Zappa. Let's put that out. I don't care.
Right.
It's crazy.
When you watch those, there was that HBO thing Ray Romano was in. It was so good about the music industry in the like 70s and how they were just everybody's coked up and drunk, and so they're signing people, they're not signing people. The one good thing about stand up compared to music overall is no one's keeping an eye on us. There is no we're feral. All of us are feral.
Yeah, as a stand-up,
And-
you don't have anybody telling you what to do. It's kind of on you.
And can we get on TV? There's certain rules. You want to be on Kimmel or whatever. Netflix, so there's no rules.
Right.
I mean, you have to get to the point where they want you. So
Your mind must have been blown from making
that's a
your
big
first
deal.
special until the last special in
so
ways.
much better.
Yeah.
I mean,
So much less
if it was
horseshit, yeah.
HBO or Showtime, they would actually. I have to think of their sponsors. I'm like, well, can you send me the list? Oh, so if I have a joke about Taco Bell, I'm making
Right.
that up. I can't. I should switch it to Taco King or some bullshit. Like
Right.
you had to sit there and go. They weren't complete Gestapo about it, but enough that it was a thing. But Netflix, I don't even know that they've ever watched my specials. I
There you
just
go.
give them to them and they post them. They're like children.
What better boss to have than
We're
that?
gonna give you a lot of money and then we'll just post that. Is that okay? Do you need any help? No, I don't need. I don't want any help. Okay, great. We don't really have any help for you anyway. So we're just gonna do that, and
Way to
then
overdo it.
we'll let you know. And then that's it. And then they send a check. The money's wired into your bank, and you never hear from them ever. It's wonderful. It's turned a corner. But as far as what we are doing on stage compared to music, or even, I don't know, TV or whatever, no one is paying attention to us. We're like the bastard stepchild of the chaotic family that everyone forgot about, and we're in the corner doing whatever we want to do, and then we show up with something and take it or leave it. But that's why there's not too many comedians that are super famous. There are a few that are completely inauthentic, but most are not. It's the one thing that they don't care enough about us, but they know we make money, but they don't know how. We're like this weird thing where they're like, "Did you fucking notice Cat Williams just sold out like the Enterprise Center in St. Louis? Like there's fucking 18,000 people paid to see him, but like LA or New York would." We're just out in the hinterland doing whatever, and then we show up and go, "Well, we do have a following," and then they go, "Oh, okay, what do you got?" And then Netflix has been wonderful, or Amazon. Now there's all these other.
It's just a matter of how to get the name out.
How
the
do
only
you-
thing is promoting it. And
Well,
once-
Amazon, you can post your own.
that's true.
As long as it meets the, the film stuff, like whatever is 4K or whatever that bullshit is. If it meets their thing, you guys could film yourselves in a bar, but it's going to cost, $75,000 to make that.
Right.
But you could post it on Amazon.
Fuck it, let's do it.
You could.
Sounds like a great idea.
Well, I don't know where music's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Or where someone can come up with $75,000.
Well, there's that too.
Right. Other than posting on YouTube and all, I don't know how younger comics, I'm like, the road ahead.
What advice would you get? That's everybody's asking about. Is like, my son's playing music now. What would you do? I was like, tell him to get a day job and keep it, and keep playing. But don't I always tell him, don't make your playing the thing that brings in money at first, because then you're gonna have to take gigs that you hate, and
Yeah.
then the thing that you love the most, you're gonna end up hating.
Yeah.
So don't lose that right when you're getting started. Get a shitty day
Right.
job. And plus, shitty day jobs are great for lyrics. I'm sure for jokes. I'm sure you
Material,
had
yeah.
years of shitty day jobs.
Yeah.
And you meet the greatest people.
The younger comics, though, I just don't feel like there's a path, but maybe there's one that they are.
It's one where us old people don't know. They'll figure it out probably.
Yeah, but it's that focus thing I'm talking about. It's like, even when I did Letterman or Leno back then, there was still, back then, 15 million people watching. So not 100, but 15. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And then you build on that. And then back in my time, when you talk about someone's career timing, which is nothing but luck, is a big factor too.
Yes.
There had never been any HBO stand-up specials. So boom, it's HBO Women of the Night, and I'm on it. And it's fucking, nobody's ever heard of anything. Like, people watched.
Yeah.
Comedy Central half-hour things were never a thing, and then they were a thing. I don't see that happening for like the guys that open for me. They can sit there and fucking Instagram all day long and clips out. Yeah, and you have to.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. I'm like, that's a full-time job. I didn't do any of that shit because it wasn't available. But I mean, the self-promotion, but they have to do it, but yet it's not getting you new fans. It's not. You're maybe a few. I'm not saying
it's not necessarily getting people off their ass to go
to
see
go
you in
buy
a
a
club.
ticket. Is it turning into? Yeah, I could tell you 70,000 people on Instagram that'll go, I have a bazillion followers. Oh, okay, well, go to Zany's and tell me you can sell 200 hard tickets tonight.
Yeah.
You can't.
It takes a lot to get people off their asses, period,
Out
nowadays.
for music or for comedy or for whatever. That's why I'm always so grateful when people are still excited. Just even a club, Zany's, because it's fun. The whole club is fun. The food, the cheeseburger is good. Like the whole thing
and
is
it's
fun.
important for people to get out and remember, because comedy and music is way fucking better in person than it is listening or watching on YouTube.
The club, what's the music club in Minnesota, Joe, across from the hotel where Fifth
Oh
Ave?
yeah, legendary.
Like, so if we're doing the Minnesota State Theater deal or whatever, we go in a night early because I just want to go in there. I don't know who's performing. I just want to go see live music that I know whoever's there has worked at it and is good at it.
Right.
And every time we've gone, it's been the funnest night of the whole week because it's just live music, which here in Nashville, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But Austin, it's a thing. But St. Louis, it's a good thing. Like, people love live music there. But there's a shitload of cities that I just go, Memphis is great, but Beale Street to me is even better than Broadway because I tend to like more of that kind of music.
Classic
but
kind of
it's almost like funk.
yeah.
It's like Prince meets Shaka meets country. I can't even describe it, but I always feel bad flying home on Sunday, and I know his name. His name's Joe West, and I really like him, but he has the gig that's right when you go past security.
Oh, every time we're flying out to go somewhere carrying our shit, like, oh, you poor bastard. It's
and then
gotta
there's
be
like
terrible.
Tootsie's in the airport, but that's still a bar. Joe's just off, like sitting there when I'm going down the escalator towards a rental car thing, and I was wave, and I was just throw 10, $20 or whatever I got in because like he's good too. He's really good.
That's the thing. They're all good. Everybody can play. Everybody can sing.
Maybe the airport gig. I'm always like, here's the one thing stand-ups haven't had to do yet: the airport gig at 11
Gig. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
on Sunday. On Sunday, you're doing the day gig. Oh my God, that's worse than a corporate gig.
Yeah.
Do comedians even do airport gigs? I haven't.
No
even
one's ever asked.
Hey,
Maybe it'll be a thing.
we can
I
put a
don't
word
know.
in for you if you're looking for work.
That you just wander into a comedy club for 5 minutes. Maybe.
Or maybe you
Why
should
not?
just, while you're killing
It'd
time,
be good for
step up.
one-liner comics.
Or get the little thing they use when they're announcing flights. Just step in there at Southwest. and
Yeah, just
let her rip.
Well, enough of them are doing that on their own.
Well,
the
that's true.
Southwest people really like
Oh,
to.
yeah, they do.
They like to joke it up.
They
like
don't
to
feed
yuck
you,
it.
but they try to make you laugh.
God, on a long flight back from Los Angeles, slightly hungover that morning when they're running those routines down, you're like, please,
Yeah.
God, please.
Now,
just...
for those of you who haven't been in a car since 1979, the seatbelt. Okay. All right. Okay, it's Jokey the Clown.
Even the stewardess has become hacks. Used to be that one or two funny
No,
ones,
yeah,
you know,
but there's true hacks out there now.
Yeah.
No, they should have a comedy club. People would go in, I bet, on a good layover.
I would.
Yeah,
I would.
it'd be fun.
At least for a
Nobody-
few minutes.
It's just be like doing a Vegas show. It's just people from everywhere.
Crowd work would be very easy.
Yeah. Where are you from? I know you're not from
rolling
here.
people through, yeah.
You can't lie. You're
Can't
not
be
from
from
here.
here.
You're not from here.
That's my friend Scott.
So, where are you going?
My friend
That'd be a
Scott. Scott used to have a great joke about the easiest job in the world would be to be a manager at one of those like newspaper stores at the airport. Because if anybody complained, you could just go, well, my manager's not going to be back for an hour and a half. I think you got to go.
Great line.
So stupid.
All right, we're 2 hours in. We should probably wrap this up. I don't want to keep you here too long.
I just want to say you could always use the standard "boy are my arms tired" joke.
Oh, yeah,
that'll go
just
over well.
flew
You
in.
gotta open
Oh
with
my
that.
God, yeah. There, you know who could do that and actually get away with it? Todd Glass.
Yes, he could.
He's so corny
or Neil Hamburger.
in a funny way. Like, he's actually making fun of the fact that he's doing it, but I can't pull that off.
Thank you for coming and talking.
Well, it was
to us,
wonderful to meet you
Kathleen.
both.
Yes, thank you for coming down and doing this.
Yes.
We'll
I
go
had a
traipse
wonderful
through the
time.
cash cabin sometime together.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, I have a boat. I'll take you by boat.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have
we'll
2
go
boats. I think they took a dock away. I don't know if I can meet you by water unless I tie my boat to a tree.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, we.
That little
we're
cove
from
back
here.
there.
We're from here. We'll figure it
I
out.
can get back there. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid of snakes.
You've been on TV. We're from here, so we'll
We
be
got
fine.
this.
We'll be fine.
And there's no security.
And there's no security.
There's that.
Just watch out for the buoys in the shallow water.
Yeah, the security is that.
Oh, yeah, we got to get your fortune read.
Oh.
That's a bit we've been doing. There's the worst Willie Nelson fortune-telling machine.
Oh, is it a Zoltar deal?
Yeah.
He has absolutely no neck. Why is he cross-eyed?
Here's an old saying for you from the one and only Willie Nelson. I got along without you before I met you, and I'll get along without you a long time after you're gone. So go ahead and be happy while you're still living on this planet. After all, you only live once. But before you go, slip me some more coins, and I'll chat with you a little while longer.
He wants more money to give me my fortune? What was that? Just a hi, how you doing?
You got 2.
Oh, are they like fortune
I need
cookies?
to punch you.
No problem.
Yeah, you got half of one, and the other one.
Well, that can't be good luck.
you might have to
It's
wait
either
and
great
see
luck or
lava
terrible, or you're gonna die. One or the other.
Let's see, Boulder City, Nevada. That's where this shit's coming from. So if you want somebody to blame, we go to Nevada. We start with those people. You've been up against it at times. Your fate has been at the bottom of it all. He's much more wordy than these.
It's
Chinese.
unnecessary.
This is much more than a.
You don't have to
fortune
read the
cookie.
whole thing out.
Oh yeah, no, let's do. You'll dream about sun, and that will be the beginning of the bright future. You are a very sincere individual. Well, I don't know about that. You would like to be surrounded by good friends. Who doesn't? This is so stupid. Your money troubles will soon disappear. I don't have any. That already happened. And you will be able to indulge in few luxuries that you've been craving. No, I'm good. I don't have anything. You will be besieged by those less fortunate for monetary help every day. So I have half of my siblings. You got any money? And no one will go unaided. Right. I always give them the money. Come on, man. I just need $100 more bucks with video poker. No problem. Wow.
Greatest fortune-telling section ever.
Well, why is there a potholder in there? Has anyone asked about that?
Well, because Willie Nelson's a potholder. See what I did there?
Oh, I get it. Oh my God, they went funny. Potholder. Took me, Grandma didn't get it right out of the gate. Wow.
We got to find you a potholder for you to have for your life.
Wow.
Kathleen Madigan is my favorite comedian.
She was great. It was fun sitting down and having beers with her.
Yes.
Hilarious.
We were so tipsy by the end.
Great fortune was told by Papa Willie.
Yeah, I don't know if they got home safe, but I did hear back from them a couple weeks later, so I think it's okay.
Well, that's good. I think we're all still alive. Anyway, another great episode. Stick around next week for Mark Norman coming up. A good one. And this little circle right over here, if you'll just tap on it and subscribe, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and find us everywhere where you listen to podcasts and watch them. Rate, review, subscribe, and tell your
Share,
friends.
all that stuff.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. All right, we'll be back next week with more Music is Funny. Enjoy your groceries.
Free Britney. I know your mama's name.